My mom had died in a car accident years before, and Dad had met and fallen in love with my stepmother Sue. It was what they call a whirlwind romance, and within 6 months they were married. I thought that Sue was nice and she made Dad happy, so I even managed to call her mom. Unfortunately, Sue was part of a package deal. In order to get her, my dad had to take her daughter Kathy too. Sue was pretty cool, but Kathy was a slob. She preferred wearing jeans to skirts, didn't use much makeup, and thought that heels were a torture device invented by men. She was only 12 when she became my stepsister, and I, being a 19-year-old suave, sophisticated kind of guy, tried to teach her to be a lady. Okay, it may sound weird that I was trying to teach her to be a lady, but Sue certainly hadn't, and I felt that I was sort of doing a community service type of thing to make a lady out of Kathy. "Cut the crap, will you?" Kathy snapped at me one afternoon. "What would you know about being a lady anyhow?" "I know what guys want to see in a girl," I said smugly. "Guys like girls who like being girls, you know, frilly clothes, pretty dresses, heels, makeup, perfume, nails and hair done." Kathy broke into a fit of laughter. "And how many girls like that do you date, dear brother? I see you sitting in the game room playing some silly video game every night." "Worlds of Warcraft is not silly," I insisted, feeling insulted. "It's a very difficult multiplayer game that requires a great deal of skill, intelligence, and dexterity." "Yeah, right." She laughed. "You're 19, you probably never had a date in your life, yet you want to teach me the fine art of being a lady? I'd date if I could find a girl that met my standards. I'm very discriminating." "Right, you can't find a girl that's willing to be all prissy for you." "Prissy has nothing to do with it. I just think that girls should be happy as girls and leave the pants to men." "You're nuts," Kathy laughed before walking away. Kathy and I argued about her being more of a lady nearly every time we were together, much to our parents' amusement. "Why don't you leave Kathy alone?" Mom asked after one of our arguments. "She dresses very nicely, and she doesn't seem to have a problem attracting boys." "I'm just trying to help," I argued. "I know what looks good, and I'd like to see Kathy looking her best." "She's only 15, Dad added. "It's going to be some time before she lands a guy and marries." Like Mom said, she dresses well for a girl her age, and judging from when I've picked her up at school dances and skating parties, she's not exactly lacking when it comes to interest from boys. I'm certain that she'd be swamped with guys wanting to date her if she just took my advice. "For the last time, knock it off!" Kathy screamed. "I am never going to be the prissy little lady with petticoats, seamed stockings, stiletto heels, getting my hair, nails, and makeup done at the beauty shop every week. Women have passed on that stupid stuff. It takes forever just to get ready for special occasions, let alone every day. It's easy for you to spout that lady business. You'll never have to do it. Heck, you wouldn't last a week just being an everyday sort of girl, let alone the type you want me to be. I'd be so popular you'd be my ugly stepsister," I bragged. "Guys would be all over me because they'd see that I enjoy being a feminine girl." "Too bad we'll never be able to see if you're right," she giggled, eyeing me up and down. "It would be a trip to see you all done up in a pretty dress, stockings, heels, your hair curled, your nails done, with perfect makeup." "She's got you there, Jason," Dad laughed. "You can afford to have such absurd ideas since you'd never have to follow them." I still say that if I was her sister, she'd be hard-pressed to get a date. I said firmly. She just doesn't appreciate what she has available to her. If I were in her shoes, I'd be thrilled to have gorgeous outfits, be able to wear makeup, and I'd even put up with wearing curlers 'cause I'd know how good I'd look. "Yeah," Kathy laughed. "Like I said, it's easy for you to say stuff like that 'cause you don't have to do it. I'd kill to see you try to put up with makeup and curlers and heels. And like I said, it would be easy since I'd be so hot looking." "You're dreaming," Kathy shrugged. "After a day or two you'd give it all up for some comfy jeans and sneakers. You probably don't have the dedication needed to last that long." Kathy's face was turning a deep red and her hands were balled into fists. 2 days! She screamed at me. "I'd kill to see you spend 2 days having to deal with the stuff you think is so easy. 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 years, I taunted. I'd do it standing on my pretty little head, a head that would have gorgeous hair and a pretty face courtesy of the makeup I'd be wearing. Of course, I wouldn't be able to wear one of my many pretty dresses while I was standing on my head since I wouldn't want to make a show of the sexy lingerie I was wearing. 2 years? Kathy screamed as Mom held her back from lunging at me. I wish you had to spend 2 years as the kind of girl you dream about. 2 years in dresses when jeans would be way more comfortable, 2 years in pantyhose that make you feel like you're in a steam cooker, 2 years having to get up extra early to do your makeup and hair, 2 years trying to do everyday stuff with long fingernails. What the hell's going on? Dad suddenly gasped as he stared at me. Oh my God, Mom muttered as she turned to see what Dad was looking at. I started feeling strange, really, really strange. I used to be able to look Dad in the eye, but suddenly, I was looking up at him. Sue, who at 5 foot tall, had been nearly a foot shorter than me, now I was looking straight into her eyes. Holy crap, I heard Kathy exclaim. You're turning into a girl. You're nuts. I was amazed to hear what sounded like a young girl's voice coming from my mouth. Maybe, she laughed. But how do you explain that you're standing there with hair to your shoulders, boobs, a great butt, and you're wearing girls' clothes? I don't know what you're talking about. There was that voice again. My voice was never like James Earl Jones, but now it sounded high and, God help me, very melodious. Mom dragged me into her room and stood me in front of a full-length mirror. Damn, you look hot, I heard Kathy say from behind as I stared at the pretty girl in the mirror. I looked so much like Kathy, in fact, we were now twins. I was wearing a short, flared skirt, stockings, and heels. My short, straight, dishwasher blonde hair was now auburn, curly, and down to my shoulders. A nice set of boobs, just perfect for a teenage girl, pushed out the pink top with those weird girl sleeves, and bra straps were evident on my now smaller shoulders. What in the world? I heard that sweet voice mutter as I stared into the mirror, unable to believe what I was seeing. Can you walk in those? Kathy asked, pointing to the pink heels I was wearing. Without giving it a thought, I swayed across the room and back as if I was born in heels. My son, a teenage boy's wet dream. Dad exclaimed as he stared at my butt. Since when can you walk like that, let alone in heels? Mom asked. I don't know. I became so upset that I started crying. This can't be real, I'm a 19-year-old guy for God's sake. Kathy looked at me and grinned. If you're my twin sister, which I'd say is a pretty safe bet based on how you look, then you're a 15-year-old girl. Well, of course she is, Mom said as if Kathy having a sister was perfectly normal. Catherine Marie and Karen Beth, my daughters. You never had a daughter named Karen? Dad explained. You have a daughter Kathy and a son named Jason. Dad shook his head. That's weird, now that I think about it, you did have twin daughters, Kathy and Karen. But that's not possible, I know that Karen's not your daughter, she's our son. You're right, Mom said after thinking it over. You had a son and I have a daughter. He has a son, I shouted. I'm not Kathy's sister, I'm not yours and Dad's daughter. I'm your son Jason, remember? Mom and Dad stared at each other for a bit. This is freaky, Mom finally spoke up. I know she's Jason, a 19-year-old boy, but I also know that she's Karen, a 15-year-old girl. Hey guys, come over here. I heard Kathy yell from across the hall. This will totally freak you out. We rushed over to what had been my bedroom. I say had been since all of my posters from video games were gone, the Sports Illustrated magazines that I kept on my dresser were now Teen Vogue and 17. An assortment of makeup was scattered about on the vanity that was never there before. What happened to my room? Where'd all this crap come from? Can I get my bedroom done like hers? Kathy asked, her eyes wide as she examined the 4-poster bed and the pretty pink curtains that matched the plush rug. You're just jealous, I sneered. My bedroom's prettier than yours and I'm prettier than you. Say that again? Dad asked, his head nearly snapping as he swiveled to face me. I said that she's jealous 'cause my room's prettier than hers and I'm prettier than she is. I smiled proudly. Crap, what the heck did I just say? I asked, covering my mouth with my delicate fingers in a very feminine manner. You said that your room is prettier than mine, which it is, but you were so wrong when you said that you're prettier than me. Kathy was only too willing to repeat for me. I am too prettier, I insisted. In your dreams, Kathy shot back. Girls, stop it right now, Mom ordered. What's happening? I couldn't stop crying, prompting Mom to hold me tight. This isn't right, somehow the three of you are pranking me. What's pranking? Dad asked as he gently rubbed my back. Playing practical jokes, Kathy explained. But this is way better than any prank. Besides, how did we get you all dressed up, give you long hair, and make you look and sound like a girl? I broke away from Mom and opened a drawer in my dresser. Kathy grinned and shrugged as we stared at the many pairs of panties that occupied my drawer where my briefs had once been. Not bad, sis, she smiled as I picked up a pair of pink thong panties. Thanks, I smiled as I admired the panties. They take a little getting used to, but I just love the way they make me feel. Maybe we could go shopping to Vicky's Secret and get some for you? Dear God, did I just tell my sister that I loved wearing sexy thong panties and suggest taking her shopping to buy some of her own? Thanks, that would be so cool. Kathy giggled. I used to wish that I had a sister and now I do. We can go shopping together and flirt with the guys at the mall, they're going to love you. I'm not yours or anyone else's sister, I argued. I don't know how this happened or why, but there has to be a way to go back again. Suddenly, I smiled at her. Wanna bet that more boys will be interested in me than you? I giggled. If I'm right and more ask for my phone number, you have to wear a skirt the next 3 times we go shopping. Kathy gave me a weird look. Okay, but if you're wrong, I get to wear that pink and white dress for the next school dance. You're on. I giggled again. I was going to wear that myself, but it'll be worth it to see you all dolled up. Since when do you have a dress like that? Dad asked, his eyebrows raised in wonder. And where did all that underwear come from? I bought the dress last week, Daddy, I smiled sweetly. Don't you remember, I modeled it for you and Mom? Oh yeah, that's right, sweetie, Dad smiled. I forgot about it for a second, I must be getting old. I gave him a hug and a kiss on the cheek before we both came to our senses. How'd you know I have that kind of dress? I asked Kathy. I looked in your walk-in closet while you were in the other room. You've got some really pretty outfits, a bit too girly for me though. I raced to my walk-in closet and did a double take. All of my slacks, my jerseys, and shoes had disappeared and had been replaced with dresses, skirts, and pretty shoes. I walked along checking out every outfit, still unable to believe or understand what had happened. I now owned enough clothes for several girls, each outfit the latest style, the prettiest color, and shoes to match every dress and skirt. There were a few pairs of jeans and slacks hanging there too, but even they were feminine and stylish. It was clear that I enjoyed being the kind of girl that I'd always pushed Kathy to become. I was getting very, very sick. Do you suppose it could have something to do with the argument you and Kathy were having? Mom wondered aloud. Remember, you said that if you were a girl you'd be the prettier sister and attract more boys? And how you'd happily wear dresses, makeup, and curlers. Kathy prodded just to make me mad. You did this to me. I screamed at Kathy. You said that you'd like to see me all dressed up and stuff. Try to avoid being a total bimbo, will you, Karen? She asked as she pulled a garment bag off the rack of dresses. How could I have possibly done that to you? By the way, what's in here? She unzipped the bag and pulled out a beautiful turquoise and sequin gown. You know very well that's the gown I wore when I won the Miss Teen Queen pageant at the mall last week. If you had someplace to wear it to, I might let you borrow it. I'll bet you'd be thrilled to get all prettied up then. Wait a second, Miss Teen Queen? Me? The memories came rushing to my brain. There had been ads at the mall for a beauty contest and I had entered. I got my hair and nails done, my legs waxed, and strutted my stuff while wearing cute outfits for school, casual, and prom. I was still too young to go to the senior prom, but I loved the gown Mom had helped me pick out, and the audience loved me in it. I beat out 24 other girls for the title of Miss Teen Queen. Geez, who'd have figured that my brother was a beauty queen? Karen giggled. You were beautiful in that dress, Daddy complimented me. Those other girls never had a chance. We knew you'd look great in it the instant we saw it, remember? Mom sighed, remembering a shopping trip that had never happened. Looky here, Kathy called. It looks like you've won quite a few contests. There, on a shelf were trophies for the model cars and airplanes I'd built, were trophies for contests like Pretty Little Miss, and others for girls my age. I smiled when I saw the trophies. I had worked hard to win those contests, taking ballet lessons, getting fitted for pageant outfits, traveling to different contests, and sleeping in curlers since I was a little girl so that my hairstyle would hold up for the next day's pageant. I remember this one, Kathy announced as she held a trophy for a pageant I'd won when I was 12. You were the prettiest girl there, the other girls never had a chance. Whoa, when did that happen? She suddenly asked. I don't remember hearing that you won pageants for little girls, let alone teens. Because he never did. Dad shook his head. There used to be trophies for model cars and planes he built. Trust me, Jason never competed in any beauty pageants, and certainly not in that gown you were looking at. Somehow, we all remember Karen, your sister, the beauty pageant winner, as well as your brother Jason. Wish me back, Kathy, please? I begged, tears running down my cheeks. I don't want to be a girl. I won't bug you anymore, I promise. Okay, I wish you didn't have to put up with all the stuff we argued about. Kathy crossed her heart with her fingers. I ran over and gave her a hug and kiss. Thanks, you're so sweet, I totally owe you. I stood waiting in disgust, but nothing happened. Half an hour later I was still a girl, a pretty one, a popular one, one with a killer wardrobe, and my tears were going to ruin my makeup. What's wrong? I sobbed. She made another wish. Why am I still a girl? I wish we knew, sweetheart, Mom said as she hugged me. We don't know how you changed, so we can't be certain how to change you back again. You know we'd do it in a heartbeat if we could. Looks like you're gonna be a girl for the next 2 years, Kathy teased. Better get a hairstyle that will look good while you're standing on your head. I know, I sniffled. But what am I gonna do in the meantime? I don't know anything about being a girl. Are you sure? Kathy asked helpfully. I mean, none of us should know about how you compete in beauty pageants, yet we all did. When I asked about that gown, you and Mom not only remembered buying it, you remembered modeling it for Daddy too. I thought about what Kathy was saying. Yeah, that's totally weird. I can remember every single pageant that I've ever been in since I was a little girl, even though I've never been in one. You were never a little girl either, Kathy giggled. Mom pulled a photo album from a shelf, opened it up and pointed to a picture of Kathy and me from a previous Christmas. Oh no, then who's the girl standing next to you? Good grief, Kathy exclaimed. But I remember that picture, and no one was standing next to me. That was like 2 years before we met. Daddy rushed to look at the picture of twin girls standing in front of the tree, both wearing pretty outfits. That was taken just before we left for church, I explained. Kathy's wearing one of my dresses. She begged me to let her borrow it, and I thought she'd look really cute in it. She wore it when we went to visit Grandma and Grandpap later that day. Yep, now could you hand me those shoes, please? She pointed to a pair of cute cork-heeled shoes on my shoe rack. Mom and Dad just stood watching as I crouched down, got the shoes, and then handed them to Kathy. What size bra do I wear, Karen? Kathy suddenly asked me. How the heck would I know? I asked, just before answering. 34A, same as me, why? How'd you know that? She smiled in a mysterious way. Why in the world was she asking stupid questions? Because you're always borrowing mine, just like this morning when you asked to borrow that peach one with the lace straps that you're wearing. Kathy grinned and pulled her top aside to show the peach lace strap of her bra, and I almost fell over from the shock. There was just no way I should have been able to answer those questions. Let's go sit down, okay? She asked, leading the way to my bed. Now, tell me again that you don't know anything about being a girl? She giggled as I scooped my skirt as I sat and crossed my legs. You bent over just like a girl. You knew that I was wearing one of your dresses in that picture. You know my bra size and you know what kind I'm wearing. You smoothed out your skirt as you sat down and crossed your legs. I quickly uncrossed my legs and tried sitting like I normally did, but as soon as I relaxed, I crossed my legs again and tugged my skirt down a little. When's your period due? Mom suddenly asked. That's stupid, I said, feeling very smug. Guys don't have. Let's see, my last one was 2 weeks ago, so it should be another 2 weeks. It's always been the same ever since I started having them. Since when do you have periods? Dad stared at me as if I was an alien. I don't, I stammered. I don't understand, since I was 11, same as Kathy. You're a girl, Kathy said with a big grin. A pretty, dress-wearing, bra-sharing, period-having girl. I started crying again and carefully wiped away the tears to avoid sticking myself in the eye with one of my manicured nails. I got more and more upset as we walked through the house. There wasn't a single picture of Jason to be found. If it was a group shot, it was Karen standing next to Kathy. I no longer had a high school graduation picture hanging above the mantel. Instead, there was a picture of me as Karen, looking totally adorable, right next to Kathy's picture. Mom dug out my birth certificate and it showed a girl named Karen Beth being born to her rather than a boy named Jason Michael being born to my mom and dad. Even the wedding picture, where I stood in a tux, looking like a real stud, now showed me standing next to Kathy, wearing an identical gown. Mom's family photo album had tons of pictures of me growing up, from a cute little baby dressed all in pink, my first Holy Communion looking all innocent in a white dress, veil, gloves, lace-trimmed socks and white Mary Janes, to the pretty young lady in the high school picture hanging above the mantel. It felt so weird. I could vividly remember Mom getting me all ready for my communion. The white panties, a pretty t-shirt trimmed in lace with a pink bow, a petticoat that felt so dreamy, my socks, shoes, and finally the dress. The dress, the beautiful white dress with short, sheer, puffy sleeves. The dress, the beautiful white dress trimmed in lace that was pushed out by the pretty petticoat I was wearing. I'd never forget that dress as long as I lived. What are you thinking of? Dad asked when it became obvious that my mind had checked out for parts unknown. I was just thinking about how pretty my communion dress was, I sighed happily. Mom got me all dressed up in pretty underwear and then I put on my dress. It was so beautiful, I felt like a princess. You wore a blue suit for your first communion. Dad quickly corrected me. Let her go, Mom scolded. She needs dreams like that to adjust. But I don't wanna adjust. I screamed. Mom ignored my tantrum and Kathy, and I sat down and had a great time talking about our favorite dresses from when we were little girls. I never felt closer to Mom than during that conversation. What now? I asked when I finally come back to reality. Where do I go from here? Well, there's church tomorrow, and then on Monday it's back to school, Mom said softly. We'll take this one day at a time and try to figure out how to get Jason back. You're going to expect me to dress up like Kathy does for church, aren't you? There's no way I'm wearing dresses anywhere. Mom just smiled and took my hand. Boom! Just like that, all thoughts of being a 19-year-old guy vanished. I was a 15-year-old girl with a passion for pretty outfits. I think I'll wear that tiered blue skirt with a light blue top and my white sandals. That won't be too flashy, will it? No, I think it would be very pretty, Mom assured me. Save the flash for your pageants. We spent the rest of the day trying to figure out what happened. From old pictures, birth certificates, and other stuff, it looked as if I had been born Kathy's twin sister and had grown up as a girl. Kathy was somewhat of a tomboy while I was an absolute girly girl. Pictures of me in dresses easily outnumbered pictures of her in dresses by 3 to 1. That night, I went to take a shower like I usually did, but somehow, I ended up taking a nice hot bath, shaved my legs and underarms and applied lotion to keep my skin looking soft and pretty. After that, I blotted myself dry, rubbing could leave my skin red and ugly looking, slipped into a pair of pink bikini panties, and lowered a ruffled white nightgown over my head. I fell asleep feeling stupid for all the pampering yet knowing I just had to do it. Going to the dance on Friday? Kathy asked at breakfast the next morning. No way, I'm not giving in to anything remotely girly, I said with as much conviction as I could muster, while thoughts of which cute outfit I'd wear and which boys I'd dance with swirled around in my head. Kathy just smiled and went into my closet, returning with my photo album. You have to go. We haven't missed a single dance since we were in middle school, Kathy was only too happy to remind me. You're probably the most popular girl at the dances. I don't do too badly, but you are the girl that all of the guys want to dance with. This is just too confusing, I moaned, holding my head. You and I both know that none of this ever really happened. Kathy shrugged. Yeah, I know you were never the most popular girl, you were never any kind of girl, but the memories are still the same as the clothes and stuff. It's like something wants you to see how much trouble it is do all the stuff you insisted that I do. But I said I was sorry, doesn't that count? Why ask me? I'm not the one who turned you into a 15-year-old hottie. You're the one who shot their mouth off, now you're stuck being a girly girl for a couple of years. I'm not thrilled with now having to compete for guys with a twin sister who's also a beauty queen, you know. I'm not exactly thrilled about it myself, you know. I countered. I know, I'll dress a little down, you know, jeans instead of skirts, stuff like that. Mom laughed so hard she nearly spit out what she was eating. You're wearing a cute nightgown with a ruffled hem and sleeves and pink lace bikini panties probably from Vicky's Secret, she howled when she got herself under control again. Yeah, I really believe you'll go for the dowdy look. Just watch. I demanded. I'll show everyone that I'll never give in. I won't wear pantyhose to church. That was obviously the wrong thing to say judging by the peals of laughter coming from my family. Karen was the first to calm down. Whatever is causing this isn't about you, let you off easy. You're not just any kind of girl, you're the kind of girl that absolutely, positively, beyond a doubt, just loves being a girl. I don't care what you think, I told her. I'm not giving in to it. I dunno, Kathy giggled. I think you're just going to have to be the girliest girl possible and hope that it helps. Personally, I don't think I'll mind having such a hot-looking sister if I get to borrow an outfit now and then. Help yourself, I said as I concentrated on finishing breakfast without noticing my manicured fingers. I had a bad feeling that being all girly and stuff wasn't going to be an option for me, rather it would be normal. Later, as I got dressed, I realized that my life had taken a turn for the worse. Instead of being like Luke Skywalker being asked to come to the dark side, I'd been picked up and dropped off on the pink side and there wasn't anything I could seem to do about it. If I thought about it, I could remember being a 19-year-old guy, a slouch first class, but still a guy. Thinking about it didn't help though because I quickly switched to thinking about I was physically a pretty, 15-year-old girl, who simply adored everything that went with being a girl. I loved pretty outfits, frilly lingerie, nail polish, the makeup I got to wear for pageants, the gowns I wore for pageants, and I sort of loved boys too. Listening to Kathy talk about how popular I was with boys had gotten me all hot and bothered and had managed to trigger thoughts of some guys at school who I thought were cute. There was Jimmy Long, Bobby Smith, Aaron Michaels, and a bunch of others. I remembered skating with them at the local rink and even dancing with them, but the memory that really shook me was when Bobby and I were at a party. We snuck out to the back porch where I got comfy on his lap. We were having a great time kissing when I felt his hand going under my top. I was going to stop him, but he was quick and the next thing I knew he was rubbing one of my nipples through my bra. I'm not that kind of girl, Bobby, I told him as I pushed his hand down and got off his lap. I was having a wonderful time with him until he tried to take advantage of me. Why can't boys enjoy cuddling the way girls do? I wondered as I brushed my hair. I plugged in my heated curlers and let them warm while I went through my closet, looking for the outfit I'd planned to wear. When the curlers were ready, I rolled my hair like a pro. This is so freaky, I thought as I rolled my hair and clipped the curlers in place. Since when do I know how to set my hair? Mind if I borrow a bra again? Kathy asked as she strolled into my room. With all of the excitement yesterday, I forgot to do the laundry. Yeah, I completely understand, I gestured towards my dresser. I seem to have enough underwear for several girls. You've got enough everything for several girls, she laughed. Having you for a sister is definitely gonna expand my wardrobe. That's what sisters are for, right? I managed a weak smile. Need any help getting ready? Kathy asked as she rummaged through my drawer for just the right bra. Thanks, but I seem to know all about this stuff. I couldn't help giggling as I pointed to my curlers. By the way, there are matching panties to that bra you chose. Cool! Kathy gushed as she searched for the panties. What in the world came over me? I was lucky to have matching socks as Jason, now I had matching bras and panties? What in the heck are you doing? She asked in disbelief as I absent-mindedly took off my nightgown and reached for a bra I'd laid out on my bed. Getting ready for church, of course, the same as you. She was throwing an absolute fit. You can't get undressed in front of me, you're a guy. Really, then whose bra and panties are you borrowing? I giggled as I hefted my breasts. And how many guys have these? Okay, you got me there, she admitted. I'm still just a bit confused about this whole stuff. Tell me about it, I said as I expertly fastened my bra. I was a 19-year-old guy until yesterday afternoon. Now, I'm a 15-year-old girl and your twin sister. My gorgeous twin sister, Kathy moaned. How can I get a date when you're my competition? I did what I could to console her. Don't worry, I'm not about to go out with other guys. Just the thought of it makes me feel sick. Yeah, right. Kathy scoffed as she started changing into the bra and panties she wanted to wear. I just don't believe that whatever's behind this is about to let you off easy. You're not just a girl, you're a beauty queen, so I gotta figure boys'll be climbing all over each other to date you and you're gonna wanna date them. Yeah, I hate to admit it, but you're probably right. I sighed, feeling lost and beaten. Even while I was swearing that I'd never want to date, I couldn't help thinking about how fun it is to skate and dance with guys. It's okay, I'll help you out any way I can, Kathy promised from my closet as she picked out an outfit. Thanks, and by the way, do you own any clothes at all? Yep, got some, but nowhere near as many as you do or this nice. She smiled as she tugged on a pair of jeans. Even your jeans are better than mine. I smiled as memories of winning gift certificates from expensive shops came to mind. At least if I had to be a girl, I was going to be a very well-dressed one thanks to the beauty contest prizes I'd won. Looks like you're doing okay, Daddy said as Kathy and I came downstairs after dressing. You look very nice in that outfit. Yeah, I'll manage somehow, I gave a little giggle. So far I know how to do my nails, set my hair, and pick out an outfit. That's more than I could do yesterday morning. Are those Karen's jeans? Mom asked, eyeing Kathy suspiciously. It's okay, Mom, I've got enough clothes for a couple of girls, Kath's welcome to anything she likes. Besides, I just couldn't bring myself to wear jeans to church, I felt like wearing something prettier. You should see her closet, Kathy exclaimed. How'd she get all those outfits? Beauty pageants, Mom quickly explained. She won gift certificates to places I can't afford to shop in. You can help yourself too, Mom. I offered. Thanks, but I'm a little too old for your stuff. You can have my next gift certificate, I promised. I'm in a fashion show next month at the Galleria in Northwood, right? Have you figured out what you're going to do about school tomorrow? Dad asked. Yeah, seems all I gotta do is think about something and I know how to do it. Besides, we restuck wearing uniforms, right, Kath? I didn't mean what you'll wear, I meant your classes. Dad shook his head in amazement. You're really getting into this girl business. How hard can the classes be? I went through all that a couple of years ago, remember? Yes, I remember. Dad shot back. I remember that you were a lousy student. Maybe I'll get lucky and have men teaching the tough classes, I teased. Otherwise I'll have to find some sweet boy who can help with my homework. Dad was about to blow up when I held up my hands. Calm down, Daddy. I was only joking. You'd better be, he threatened. Or you'll be spending every Friday watching TV with me instead of going to the school dance. Did you hear what you said? Mom laughed. He's been a girl for less than a day, but you sound like he's always been a girl. Well, he's a girl now. Daddy went for the save. And that's the best punishment I can imagine. Trust me, staying home wouldn't be much of a punishment. I shook my head. I'm afraid of what will happen if I go to the dances. I don't want to end up in the corner with some guy's tongue stuck down my throat. Or did I? It really didn't sound all that bad. I noticed a group of girls waiting as we pulled into the church parking lot. I somehow knew that since Kath and I were very close, we had many of the same friends. The girls and I had some classes together, shopped together, and a few were also majorettes. I blushed when I also remembered that one of the classes we had together was phys ed, which meant that I have to shower with them. Problems? Kathy asked softly. Yeah, I have phys ed with some of those girls. I shook my head. It's not a big deal, you're a girl, just like them. But I'll have to shower with them. Well, like I said, Kathy started to say. Yeah, I know, I'm a girl, just like them. I said, feeling incredibly sad. I'd see some of the hottest looking girls in school naked, but I wouldn't have a single horny thought. Well, actually I did have a few. It seems that thinking of seeing those girls naked had somehow triggered thoughts of what it would be like to see a couple of the guys at school naked. Now that seemed like a great idea. Wouldn't it be great to see Rick Killen that way? I wondered aloud. Excuse me? Kathy giggled. I was just thinking about how great he looks at the basketball court when he takes off his shirt. I smiled, imaging his broad shoulders, well-muscled arms, and strong chest. I thought you were a good girl. Kathy snickered. Good girls can dream, can't they? I giggled. The giggling came to a quick end a second later when I came to my senses. Please, please, please tell me I wasn't fantasizing about other guys. I whispered. I didn't want Mom and Dad hearing my thoughts about other guys. They might just think I enjoyed it. Well, I did, but I didn't want anyone else to know since it made me feel so ashamed of myself. Just relax and go with the flow, Kathy whispered. Being a girl's fun, trust me. I hope so, was all I could manage to think. I instantly relaxed as my friends gathered around and everything was cool. We complimented each other on our outfits, giggled over some cute guys, and of course, agreed to get together later for a shopping trip. Everything okay? Mom asked on the way home. Oh yeah, I smiled. We're going shopping later, there's a big sale starting at the Limited. I thought you weren't going to give in to that girl stuff, my very confused daddy asked. I didn't plan on it, Daddy, I replied, feeling awfully happy for some reason. But when the girls mentioned the sale, I just had to agree. I mean, it sounds like it's gonna be a whole lot of fun, lots of cute outfits, and they're all on sale. Guys don't understand how much fun shopping is, Kathy giggled. They walk in, pick out what they want, and that's it. But how can you possibly know what you want if you don't try on different outfits? I found myself asking. Oh wait, I quickly added. Yeah, I remember doing that. I don't suppose you've got room for another girl? Kathy asked. I gave in to my feelings and gave her a big hug. There's always room for my favorite sister. I was amazed. Shopping was great. Before I could leave though, I just had to freshen my makeup and change into a cute denim skirt, pink top, and strappy sandals. Kath of course laughed at me, but like I said, I just had to do it. The thought of going shopping like she did, in a pair of jeans, made me feel sick. We were part of a pack of girls that hit the Limited as soon as they opened. Our group broke into sections, one hit the skirts and tops, another hit the jeans, and the group that Kathy and I were in hit the bathing suit section with a vengeance. Hey Carrie, what did you think? A girl named Lisa called out, holding a hot pink bikini up. You're too pale for that, I told her without having to think about it. You need something less bright. But it's so cute. Lisa pouted. I'll tan before I wear it where anyone would see me. Go for it, I shrugged as I pulled out a cute tankini in a dark green. I hurried to the dressing room and modeled it for the other girls. Have you lost your mind? Kath asked in horror. What? I think it's cute. I thought it was the best compromise between a sexy one that I wanted so badly I could taste it and a burqa. Cute is for girls who don't look like you do. A girl named Amber explained. Or for mom, Kath added. Now get out of that and try on something made for a bod like yours. Much better, Kath told me as I modeled the sexy, high-cut, two-piece that I really wanted. That looks great with your figure. Definitely get that one. It's perfect with your hair color, another girl added. And with my twins too, I laughed, causing Kath to blush. I smell a rat. What an afternoon, trying on all kinds of different outfits with other girls and seeing how envious some were. I have to admit, I was feeling all kinds of happy. Of course I bought the bathing suit, along with a new skirt and 2 tops. Once we finished with the limited, we hit a shoe store for another sale. By the end of the afternoon, I had new shoes, a new skirt, new tops, and a new bathing suit. I had plenty of outfits and shoes in my closet at home, but I just felt like I had to buy those things. I was overwhelmed thoughts of how cute the outfits were, how they fit perfectly, and they were on sale. I never had a prayer. At the food court, I was all set to order 4 slices of pizza with everything, but when I opened my mouth, I very sweetly asked for a single plain slice and a small Diet Coke. I knew I had a fashion show coming up and didn't want to put on extra weight when I went to pay for them. A boy behind me insisted on paying. That's sweet of you, Jimmy. I smiled as I remembered Jimmy Toth, a cute guy I enjoyed dancing with. I looked into his smiling face and had to fight the urge to kiss him. Are you here with friends? Yeah, he laughed and gestured to some guys from school. We thought we'd scope out the mall for some cute girls. Looks like we picked the right spot. Hearing Jimmy say that made me feel all warm and happy. It upset me a little too since as Jason, I tried the same kind of lines and been shot down every time. Now all Jimmy had to do was smile and I wanted to stick my tongue down his throat. Why don't you guys sit with us? Kathy asked sweetly. Your friends wouldn't mind? I looked at the other girls and knew there was no point in asking if they'd mind 5 good-looking boys sitting with us. They wanted the boys every bit as much as I did. I had a great time sipping my drink, taking dainty bites of pizza, and talking to Jimmy. There were a couple of times that I sort of felt silly, but all it took was seeing Jimmy smile and everything was just fine. You should have seen Carrie putting the moves on poor Jimmy Toth. Kath wasted no time in announcing to Mom and Daddy when they picked us up. She had him all wrapped up in a cute little package with her name on it. I'll bet if any of the rest of us girls had smiled at him, she'd have ripped us to shreds. I could see Daddy's confused face in the rear-view mirror. I don't know what happened, Daddy, really I don't. I hurried to explain. As soon as I saw him, I felt all giddy. Daddy just shook his head. Yesterday, you swore you weren't going to give in to this girl stuff yet. Within a day, you're out shopping like a pro and flirting with boys. I'm trying to resist, Daddy. I tried to keep my voice steady but couldn't. I can't seem to help myself. I mean, the outfits are just so cute and Jimmy is too. I don't want to have anything to do with him yet. I just wish he'd ask me out. Skating with him is fun, but I'd just love to go to a movie or something with him. Daddy let out a soft whistle. It's okay, sweetie. I don't understand what's happening either, but it's pretty obvious that you're every bit as much a girl as Kathy is. Why not just enjoy it? You're the sweetest dad in the whole world. Do you know that? I asked as I kissed his cheek. As soon as I kissed Daddy, I felt sick. I'm a 19-year-old guy and shouldn't be calling him Daddy, hugging, or kissing him, yet I couldn't stop myself from doing just that. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't avoid being a sweet girly girl. Daddy immediately noticed the deep funk that I had slid into. I've become such a sissy. I sniffled. I never ever, in a million, billion years thought that I could understand why girls enjoyed shopping, but as soon as my friend suggested it, I couldn't wait to go. I told Kathy that I didn't want anything to do with boys, but I'd marry Jimmy Toth in a second. Admit it, Kath prodded. You had fun, right? That's why we do it, for the fun. As soon as the memories came to my head, I felt so much better. Yeah, I have to admit, it was fun. There were just so many cute outfits to try on. Well, Daddy teased. Now that you understand why women like to shop, perhaps you could explain it to me? You could be a big help to men everywhere, explaining the female thought process in terms men can understand. Okay, here's the scoop. There are tons of cute crap, make that nice looking outfits. All kinds of pretty, different, colors. When you look at the outfits, you can picture how they'll look on you and how you're gonna look wearing them. You just know that those jeans with the embroidered pockets are gonna get the attention of every guy when you go skating, and that dark blue dress with the flared skirt, cap sleeves, and the tiny white belt is gonna make guys' heads spin when you walk into the dance. So you're definitely interested in boys? Daddy asked. Absolutely not. Well, only the cute ones, Daddy. I giggled. I'll let Kathy have the others. What makes a boy cute? Mom smiled. I dunno. I insisted. I don't think boys are cute at all. But you just said that you were interested in cute ones, Daddy so helpfully added. I made a mistake, okay? I was getting really mad. My big mouth had dug me a gigantic hole and I was stuck way in the bottom of it. Daddy realized that I was upset and tried to calm me down. Sorry, Carrie, I guess that Mom and I got caught up in the moment. He quickly apologized. It's just so easy to think of having two pretty daughters. God, it made me feel so happy to hear Daddy say that he thought I was pretty. Thanks, Daddy. I immediately swung back into full girl mode. Mom's lucky to have such a sweet guy like you. So, guys can be sweet? Kath teased. I'll bet Jimmy Toth is sweet, right? Oh God, is he ever? I giggled as that strange warm feeling started in my boobs and between my legs. I just want to dive into those adorable eyes of his and run my fingers through his thick hair. His lips look so kissable and he's got broad shoulders. Stop that. I screamed at her when I realized what I was saying. You know I don't mean any of that crap, I just can't seem to help myself. Kath could probably tell by the expression on my face that I was desperately trying to wiggle away and I didn't have a prayer. That's silly, she insisted. Just stop thinking of how hot you looked in that sexy, two-piece bathing suit this afternoon and how you can't wait for Jimmy to see you in it. That is so cruel. I managed to form the words even though I was hopelessly lost as the idea of modeling my cute new suit for Jimmy took over my thoughts. I was at the pool, in my new suit, stretched out on a towel, soaking up the hot sun and the hot looks from guys. All of the exercising I did to stay in shape as a majorette gave me a very eye-catching figure and I was loving it. I had a nice set of boobs, not too big and not too small, my butt was nice and tight and my legs were very shapely. My girlfriends were giggling and teasing me about the effect I was having on some of the guys. There was a line for the diving board and the guys were trying to catch my attention as they showed off their diving skills. Yeah, Kath giggled as my eyes glazed over. Now, imagine how you're gonna feel when you walk into the dance next week wearing that skirt you just bought. I was helpless. As soon as Kath made the suggestion, thoughts of how pretty I'd look and how great I'd feel when I walked in, my pink skirt showing off my sexy legs and swinging back and forth as I walked, popped into my head and refused to leave. Kath was good, I'll say that for her. She'd already seen my eyes glaze over so she waited for my breathing to slow down. As soon as it did, she started in again. Jimmy will see you walk in and rush over to say hi. He'll tell you how pretty you look and walk over to the refreshment stand with you so he can buy you a drink. You two will stand there, staring into each other's faces. You want him to kiss you but he's too shy. My boobs were tingling and I felt a little dampness between my legs. Luckily I was wearing a panty liner. You and Jimmy dance for a while and then he asks if you'd like to go outside. You know what he means, he wants to know if you want to go out and suck some face. No. I'll never suck face with another guy, never. He takes your hand and you walk out with him. You guys find a nice spot and sit down. You look at him and smile, he smiles back, he tells you that you're the prettiest girl he's ever known, leans forward, and the next thing you know, his tongue is in your mouth. Stop it, Kathy! I heard Mom order. You're taking advantage of her. No, she's not, I sighed, lost in thoughts of being held in Jimmy's arms while our tongues got to know each other. I can't wait for the dance. Somewhere, deep down inside of me, Jason was screaming to get out, to stop the thoughts that were flooding my mind and bring me back to being a guy, but thoughts of a 15-year-old girl were doing a great job of shutting him up and pushing him aside. Just yesterday, I had been a 19-year-old guy, but this was a whole new day and I'm a pretty high school girl with all of the desires of any other girl my age. Sure, Kathy was trying to take advantage of me, but I loved the way she was making me feel and didn't want her to even think about stopping. I was so lost in my dream that I didn't realize that Kathy had listened to Mom and stopped. Even without any further prodding from her, I went right along dreaming about how Jimmy was holding me, kissing me, and making me unbelievably happy. I didn't snap out of the dream until 15 minutes later when we got home and Kathy nudged me. Still mad about changing into a girl? She whispered. I'm still mad about it, that's not going to change, I tried to insist, but the smile on Kathy's face told me that she wasn't about to believe me, especially not after the way I was panting like a female dog in heat while she'd teased me. Of course, as soon as I got back home, I hopped onto my Facebook page and updated it with the story of my shopping trip, the cute outfits I'd bought, and how I couldn't wait for the dance so I could wear my pretty new skirt. I thought about putting in a few lines about the cute boy who was sweet enough to pay for my pizza, but I didn't want Jimmy to find out that I liked him. Once a boy knew that you liked him, he was much harder to control. The next morning I once again got up early to curly my hair. Jason was somewhere in my head screaming at me to stop, to just comb it and let it go at that, but I wasn't about to go to school looking like some sort of skag. I had a reputation as a girl who always looked good, and looking good took extra time. The extra time was well worth it, I thought as I wound my hair in curlers. Boys who saw how pretty I looked in class during the week couldn't wait to dance with me on the weekend. That, and the way they looked at me when they thought I didn't notice, gave me all kinds of yummy feelings. Once I had all of my curlers in place, I reached for some lip gloss on my dresser and caught sight of my reflection. What's wrong with you? I asked myself. Put that down and get those curlers out of your hair. You have to fight these stupid urges. If you give in, there's no telling where you're going to end up. I tried to put the gloss down, to take the curlers out of my hair, but I just couldn't. I really wanted to look pretty. I hated the thoughts that were flooding my brain, how I had enjoyed shopping with my friends, trying on lots of cute outfits, running into Jimmy and his friends, and how I couldn't wait for the upcoming dance. It killed me to admit it, but I just loved everything about being a girl. Good morning, I sang out cheerfully as I walked into the kitchen. I gave Mom a hug and kissed Daddy on his cheek before carefully smoothing my skirt to sit down. Your hair looks very pretty, Mom told me as she put a plate of sausages on the table. What do you have against ponytails? Kathy shook her head as she looked at my hair. Nothing, I replied with a smile. They're okay, I guess, but curling my hair just seemed like a fun thing to do this morning. I guess that the blush and lip gloss also seemed like good ideas? Kathy continued teasing. I don't suppose you're wearing a plain bra and cotton panties? Will you please shut up, I moaned. When I got out of bed, I figured on putting my hair up in a ponytail, putting on my uniform, and not touching all of that makeup. As you can see, that idea didn't quite work out. Don't you feel silly wearing stuff like that though? Kathy was never known for being subtle. If she had a question, she just went ahead and asked it. Yeah, I shrugged. When I first get dressed, or do my hair, or put makeup on, I feel stupid. Honestly, I never plan on getting all dolled up, but this curse thing is unbelievably strong. I just love the way I feel when I'm wearing pretty things. So, you wouldn't mind being a girl forever? Daddy asked, obviously worried. I don't know about forever, Daddy, I smiled. His concern about me made me feel so good. But like I said, sometimes I truly enjoy being a girl. I've got all kinds of cute outfits to wear. I enjoy curling my hair, doing my nails, and wearing makeup. It took all of one day for you to get used to it though. Kathy teased. On Saturday, you swore you'd never give in, but a day later, you couldn't wait to try on every cute outfit at the mall. How about boys? Daddy suddenly asked. Are you still interested in boys? When I hesitated, he apologized. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have asked that. It's okay, Daddy, I smiled as I reached over and squeezed his hand. Yeah, it looks like I'm stuck being as interested in them as any other girl my age. I thought it was so sweet of Jimmy to buy me lunch at the mall yesterday, and when he smiled at me I just wanted to give him a big kiss. Kathy and I are allowed to date, aren't we? I asked hopefully. I promise to be good. Yes, you girls are allowed to date, Mom told us. But you better go slow, you're going to be having a lot of feelings that you've never had to deal with. Tell me about it. 2 days ago I'd have given anything in the world to go out with Linda Jory. Today I'm hoping that Jimmy Toth will sit with me for lunch. It seems crazy, but I actually have an idea of the gown I want to wear when I get married. Daddy and Mom just stared at each other. If you have any questions, make sure you talk to your mom. Daddy told me. She'll know exactly what to do, okay? Okay, love ya. I called out as I grabbed my purse and books and followed Kathy out the door. Have I mentioned that I hate every bone in your pretty body? Kathy asked when we got outside. You make a school uniform look good. I glanced at my green pleated skirt, matching these socks and saddle shoes. Thanks for the compliment. I smiled at her. But it's not really my fault, I can't help myself, I want to look as pretty as I possibly can. What happened to Jason? Kathy asked, laughing. You know, my pain in the butt, slacker, older brother. He's still in there, I tapped my head with a finger. But he doesn't seem to have any say in what I do. Actually, I can't imagine doing things like he would have done. I mean, I try to concentrate on being a 19-year-old guy, but it doesn't work. I'm stuck as a 15-year-old girl. I was surprised to find that school was fun. As Jason, I had very few friends and did the least amount to pass. As Karen, I lots of friends, both guys and girls, and was fascinated by each and every subject and couldn't wait to do my homework. To make school even better, I was a majorette and practiced with a bunch of great girls several times a week after class. I just loved the pretty uniform we majorettes wore. It was sort of a one-piece bathing suit with gold fringe on the legs, green up to the top, and white emphasizing my breasts. I even got to wear green and gold elbow-length gloves. The whole outfit was so very pretty that when I first put it on, for all of about 30 seconds I felt silly and wanted to get out of it as quickly as I could. Then I loved the way I looked and the way it made me feel. What wasn't to love? I was wearing a sexy outfit that hugged my figure, it showed off my boobies, and my pantyhose-covered legs that ended in a pair of sexy heeled boots were to die for. When my girlfriends and I were practicing after class, there were lots of guys in the bleachers watching and probably getting all worked up over us hot-looking honeys. So, how was school? Mom asked that evening at dinner. Did everything go well? I'd rather not talk about it if you don't mind, I grumbled as I set down my purse and books. Jason was back and I couldn't wait to change into a pair of ratty jeans and a jersey. How do you like being a majorette? Daddy asked, seeming to be very confused. It must be awfully rough doing something so girlish. Kathy nearly lost a mouthful of food when Daddy said that. Upset? Miss Teen Queen upset about being a majorette? She sputtered as she wiped up the mess she made on the table. You should have seen her practicing with the other girls after school. The bleachers were filled with guys watching them. I can't help it, Daddy. I found myself starting to cry. I didn't want to have to do this stuff, but it's turning out to be fun. I've got lots of friends, I like my classes, and there's just something about wearing my majorette uniform that makes me feel so good. I thought this was supposed to be like a punishment, Kathy shook her head. I mean, if I'd been a guy like you used to be and turned into a pretty girl, I'd go nuts. You seem to be having a great time. Don't tease her, Kathy, Mom warned. I'm sure this isn't quite as easy as you think. It's okay, Mom, I smiled at her and Kath. It's confusing as all heck. I never messed with girls' clothes or anything before, but now, it's like I grew up as Kathy's sister. I mean, everything I need to know to be a girl is in my head. That's good, isn't it? Daddy asked, obviously hoping it was a good question. Well, yeah, sort of, I guess, but there's just no room for Jason. Nice going, Carrie, you managed to answer in a very girl-like way, very confusing. He laughed. Now, can you explain that in a way that a guy could understand? Okay, I seem to know everything there is to know about being a girl, and I seem to enjoy everything about being a girl even though I absolutely don't want to be a girl. What's going to happen to me? Will I be stuck like this? Worse yet, what if I'm in a parade, twirling my baton, when I suddenly become Jason again? What if I'm on a date with Jimmy, he holds me real tight and we start to kiss and bingo, I turn back into Jason? Now that would suck. Kathy was only too happy to suggest. You'd kiss another boy? Daddy suddenly asked. I didn't know what to say. The part of me that was Jason thought the idea was revolting, but like I told Kath, Jason didn't have a whole lot to say lately. No, she wouldn't kiss another guy. Mom quickly jumped into the fray. Do I have to remind you that we have 2 lovely daughters? Jason's gone, for how long none of us know for sure. Why should Karen be any different than her sister? Because I'm not a girl? I meekly suggested. Just then my cell phone buzzed, indicating that someone had sent me a text message. Even though I'd never gotten them as Jason, I knew just how to open them. It's from Jimmy, I said excitedly as I read the message. He wants to take me to see a movie on Friday. My thumbs were flying over the keyboard typing out a response even as I was asking if it was still okay to date. Do you want Kathy to go along? Dad suggested. Too late, Kathy grinned. She's already said yes. What? No, I couldn't have. I shook my head and stared at the I'd love to that I'd sent. I've gotta get out of this. I furiously began typing out sorry, something just came up. I forgot I'm grounded. Try again, Carrie. Kathy giggled as she looked over my shoulder. Instead of the message I meant to text, I'd sent one thanking him again for asking me and saying that I'd be ready by 6. I handed my phone to Kath and pleaded with her to get me off the hook, but Dad told her not to touch the phone. You don't want to go on dates with boys, yet you couldn't accept one fast enough. Whatever's controlling this isn't going to let you break that date. Forget all about Jason, pick out a nice outfit, be ready when that young man gets here, and make him feel good about asking you for a date. But Daddy. No buts, young lady. I expect you to be the sweet girl that boy is expecting. Do you understand? Yes, Daddy, I promise. And so my fate was sealed. I was going to be Jimmy Toth's date for a romantic comedy on just a few days. Instead of helping me get out of it, my dad had ordered me to become the prettiest, sweetest girl possible, a task I dreaded but one that I knew I was more than up to. Hi, Carrie. Jimmy called out the next morning at school. I can't wait till Friday. It's supposed to be a great movie. I wanted to tell him to take a hike, but all I could manage was a big smile and to thank him again for asking me. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, Jimmy. Thanks for asking me. I noticed that as we talked, we were moving closer together. I felt all warm and funny inside, hoping that Jimmy would pull me close for a kiss. Are you going to the dance on Saturday? I asked, brushing hair back from my face as flirtatiously as I could. You bet. He smiled at me, making me feel all weak and giddy. It's the homecoming dance, I sure don't want to miss that. Yeah, that's right. I smiled and moved a little closer. I'll be marching in the parade that afternoon. Cool, I'll make sure to watch out for you. That's so sweet, I smiled as I reached over and touched his arm. I'll save the first dance for you. That's great, I can't wait. The movie Friday and the dance Saturday, it's gonna be a great weekend. Hey, what happened to my brother the geek? Kathy teased as she caught up to me between classes. I saw you talking to Jimmy earlier. I'm surprised he didn't give you a kiss goodbye. So was I told her as we opened our lockers. I don't understand what happened. I mean, the movie's one thing, but I started flirting with him about the parade and even promised him the first dance on Saturday. Don't forget, he gets a goodnight kiss on Friday too. I felt ill. The week flew by and soon it was Friday afternoon. I rushed home, took a nice hot bath, shaved my legs and pits, then slipped on the prettiest panty and bra set I owned. Looking hot there, sis, Kath smiled as I came out of the bathroom. Too bad Jimmy won't be able to see that. Don't worry about it, I said glumly. He'll see enough to make him happy. You've got a date with the cutest guy in our class and you sound bummed. I'll take him if you don't want him. I'd gladly give him to you if I could, but that's not gonna work out, I said as I slipped on a short tan skirt. It's the same old problem. I don't want to go, but I can't wait for him to get here. I can't believe this is all happening to me. It is kinds funny, you know? You claim to know everything there was to know about being a lady and now you have to prove it. It didn't seem that tough, I admitted as I pulled on a top. Actually, it's not that tough now either. Like tonight for example, I seem to know exactly what to wear to make Jimmy keep his eyes on me. I knew the right outfit and I'm positive that my makeup will be just perfect. If Jimmy doesn't have a hard-on for the entire night, I'll be amazed. You poor baby, Kath teased. It must be horrible to be able to put together the perfect outfit for any occasion and to be able to use makeup like a model. When you're a 19-year-old boy it is, I joked, hoping to calm my nerves. You know what's really horrible though? Wondering what it's gonna take to get Jimmy to kiss me when the last thing in the world I want is for him to kiss me. Kath's eyes grew wider than I'd ever seen. You're joking, aren't you? No, I've seen your pathetic attempts at jokes and this isn't a joke. You really want Jimmy to kiss you. I want him to put his arms around me, tell me that I'm the prettiest girl in the whole world, and I want a kiss that will make me forget that I was ever Jason and make me want to be Karen forever. I doubt it will happen this weekend, but, and it pains me to have to say this, you are the sweetest girl I've ever known, and if you and Jimmy keep dating, he'd be an idiot not to kiss you that way. I couldn't believe Kathy said that. In the couple of years we'd known each other we'd never gotten along, not for 1 second. Have you been drinking? It's me, Jason, remember? Kathy smiled and shook her head. No, I'm talking to my sister Karen, a sweet, lovable girl, not my nasty brother Jason. I totally lost it. I reached over, grabbed her, hugged her as tightly as I could and broke into tears. I'm sorry for being so mean to you, Kath, I managed to say between tears. I'm so glad to be your sister now, I promise to be as nice as I can. Kathy gave me a ferocious hug. It's okay, Carrie, I know how it must tear you up to say stuff like that and that makes it so much sweeter. I'm sorry you have to go through this, but I'll help any way I can, okay? As we hugged, my thoughts reverted back to Jason, but even then I knew I had a wonderful sister. Come on, she told me. You don't want to be late for your date. Good grief, I was going on a date with another guy and I realized that I just couldn't wait. I'd been a guy all my life, but all that I could think of was that I was the luckiest girl in the whole world to be able to go out with that hunk Jimmy Toth. I hoped he'd appreciate what I went through to look nice for him, and if I was lucky, he'd tell me how pretty I looked. I had trophies and stuff from fashion shows and beauty pageants, but what I needed was for Jimmy to think I was cute. I was all pins and needles waiting for Jimmy to show up. I'd chosen a cute pink skirt with a ruffled hem and a dark blue sleeveless top along with pink sandals. My makeup was perfect, my hair hung around my shoulders where it was gently curled, and I was wearing just a touch of cologne. Jimmy and his mom showed up exactly on time so that Mom and Daddy could meet them. Jimmy was very polite and it didn't take long at all for my parents to think as well of him as I did. His mom explained that she'd drop us off at the show and pick us up as soon as Jimmy called to say that we were ready. There's a shop right next to the show where they sell custard cones. Would it be okay if Carrie and I got a cone after the movie? The second he asked that, a thought ran through my head. I was not only going to be stuck as a prissy girl for a movie, but I'd have to act all thrilled that he'd buy me a cone too. How in heaven's name did I get into a mess like this? Of course my parents said yes, and the second they did, I was overwhelmed with a feeling of being so happy. After all, the longer I could spend with my adorable date, the better. Jimmy was an absolute doll. He walked next to me all the way to his mom's car, and as soon as we got there, he rushed to hold the door open for me. I would have loved to throw my arms around his neck and reward him with a French kiss that would rock his world, but with his mom there, he had to settle for a sweet smile. As I scooped my skirt and slid into the car, I was overcome with the idea of sliding all the way across and out the other door, but as soon as Jimmy sat next to me and smiled at me, all thoughts of escape vanished. Why would I want to get away from such a cutie? Of course, Jimmy opened my door as soon as we got to the theater and made sure that every single door we came to was open for me. I wanted to give him a thank you kiss in the worst way, but Jason's thoughts kept interfering. Jimmy was the perfect gentleman during the movie. He made sure that I had plenty of popcorn and a drink and never once tried to put his arm around me. Of course, that was the least that Jason would put up with, but by the halfway point in the movie, I got tired of Jason's thoughts and worked hard on being Karen. Jimmy had run out of popcorn and was going to get more when I stopped him. "There's plenty here," I whispered and showed him the tub I had. "We could share." What a doll, I didn't have to tell him twice. He reached over to get some popcorn and our hands just happened to touch several times. After accidentally touching, we began playing finger tag until he gently took my hand and held it. Oh God, what a rush! I was in heaven having this cutie pie hold my hand. I was torn between not being able to wait to get home and email all of my girlfriends and never wanting to leave. Of course, Jason had other ideas, but all it took was for me to look at my delicate hand with pink fingernails and a pretty ring being held in his much larger, stronger hand to forget all about Jason. I was way too busy trying to figure a way to get kissed. By the time the movie ended, my head was resting against his chest and his arm was around my shoulders. I don't remember much about the movie once that happened, but who cares? I was being held by the cutest guy in school. After the movie, Jimmy still held my hand and I was still living on cloud 9. All the way to the custard stand, Jimmy held my hand, not even letting go to hand me my cone. We had a fantastic time talking as we ate our cones. Jimmy insisted on hearing everything about my classes and being a majorette. Jimmy was fascinated with the way the other majorettes and I did routines where we would toss spinning batons into the air, catch them as they came down, and then toss them back and forth. It turns out that he was a member of the school's junior ROTC and part of a group that performed similar routines with rifles. Of course, I promised to attend his next practice and group show. When Jimmy's mom dropped me off later, she sat in the car while Jimmy hopped out to open my door and walk me to my house. We stood staring awkwardly for a few seconds before I took his hand and gave him a kiss on the cheek. "Thanks for the wonderful time, Jimmy. I honestly can't remember having this much fun at a movie before. Don't forget the dance tomorrow," he grinned broadly. "You promised to save the first dance for me, remember?" I couldn't help myself, I just had to give him another kiss. "I won't forget," I pledged. "And I'll be looking for you during the parade, so don't forget to wave." "How was it?" Mom, Daddy, and Kath asked the instant I set foot in the house. "Just dreamy," I mumbled as I hung up my purse. "The movie was great, the popcorn was great, the custard was great." "Was Jimmy a gentleman?" Daddy asked, interrupting my great daydream. "Yes, Daddy, Jimmy was a perfect gentleman. He opened and held doors for me, made sure that I had plenty of popcorn, and walked me to the door when his mom dropped us off." "Bummer, wasn't it?" Kath teased. "Better luck next time." I acted confused over what Kath was saying but gave her a wink that I hoped Mom and Daddy didn't see. Maybe next time Jimmy would put his arms around me and see how far down my throat he could put his tongue. If he did, I planned on squeezing what had been an obvious bulge in his pants until neither of us could take any more. Once Daddy left the room, Mom smiled and asked what the movie was like. I did my best to describe it to her, but it turns out that she'd already seen it and wanted my opinion on specific scenes that I was too busy staring at Jimmy to watch. I did my best to fake it, describing what I thought had happened, but Mom wasn't going to be fooled. "I was 15 once too, you know," she said as she gave me a gentle hug. "I'm glad you had a good time." After a nice long bath spent dreaming of Jimmy, I was getting dressed when Kath walked into my room. "So you had a good time, right? No regrets about going on a date with another boy?" "There was only one boy on my date," I started to giggle. But what a boy he was. I told her all about the popcorn and how it led to holding hands and how Jimmy was all interested in majorette stuff cause of what they did in the junior ROTC. "He'll be watching for me at the parade tomorrow," I said with pride. Since he's being so sweet, I promised him the first dance tomorrow night. Did you have any problems being with him? A few, up until he held my hand. Then I was the happiest girl ever to live. Did he get hard? Kath whispered. Uh-huh, I giggled. I noticed the bulge in his pants before we sat down. If we keep dating, I'm gonna squeeze him while we kiss. He should like that, right? He'll love it, and from what I've heard, you'll get much better kisses while you're squeezing him. Kathy smiled and wished me luck before we both went to sleep. I was so lucky to have such a wonderful sister. I was up early the next morning to get ready. Even though I'd shaved my legs the night before, I still ran a razor over them and rubbed in moisturizer to make sure they looked good for the parade. Of course, I chose a sexy bra and panty set. I felt so sexy and pretty when I wore them, and it seemed to be reflected in how well I performed. Deep down, I felt a sense of disgust when I was getting dressed, but I couldn't stop dressing. I felt an overwhelming need for the sexy feeling I got when I wore pretty clothes. When Daddy dropped me off for the parade, a group of my girlfriends were waiting to hear about my date with Jimmy. We huddled together in a giggling mass as I told them all about how sweet Jimmy had been, how we held hands, and the goodnight kiss I gave him. We were having a great time until the lady in charge told us to get our butts ready to march. I hurried into position since somewhere out there Jimmy was waiting and I couldn't wait to see him again. I was marching along, twirling my baton and scanning the crowd when suddenly there he was. Jimmy must have gotten there pretty early since he was standing in front of a pretty thick crowd of people. The second I saw him I felt all happy and my heart started pounding in my chest. Luckily, at that exact point in the parade, we were supposed to stop and put on a little show for the crowd. I happily lined up in one of 2 rows with the 15 other girls so that we could begin our twirl and toss. We'd twirl our batons very quickly, then toss them into the air 3 times. The first 2 times we caught our own, but on the 3rd toss, we caught the batons tossed by the girls across from us. This always got a big round of applause from the crowd, but all that mattered to me was that Jimmy was clapping like crazy and smiling right at me. I made up my mind that he'd be getting another kiss that night, and it wouldn't be on his cheek. After the parade, I sat in my room feeling incredibly silly. I had happily marched right down Main Street in front of half the town, in a sexy uniform twirling a baton. How much more girly could I possibly get? I had to avoid doing things like that so that I could keep what little self-respect that I had as Jason, otherwise, I might never return to being a guy. I began thinking of all the horrors that awaited me if I couldn't change back wearing makeup, doing my hair, dresses, heels, fashion shows, beauty pageants, dating, holding hands with and kissing boys like Jimmy. As I thought of the horrors of having to date, hold hands with, and kiss boys like Jimmy, my mind started to wander off and that feeling of incredible warmth started to take over. From my head to my toes, with a particular emphasis on the area between my legs, I began to get warm. Not burning hot or anything silly like that, just a wonderful warm feeling. I imagined myself walking through an amusement park, hand in hand with Jimmy and being led right to the tunnel of love. Of course I knew what he had in mind, the same thing I had in mind. We'd snuggle in the dark and do some serious face sucking. We knew how long the ride would take, and the instant we were in the dark, Jimmy's lips would meet mine, our tongues would play tag, his hand would start squeezing my breasts and my hand would be squeezing the bulge in his pants. By the time we were in the light again, our hands would be back in our laps and we'd be sitting close, but not as close as we had been. After the tunnel of love, we'd go on the Ferris wheel. After begging the operator to stop at the top, we'd exchange kisses. As soon as we got off that ride, it would be off to a ride where we'd be smashed against each other. When we got tired of the rides, Jimmy would buy me a big spool of cotton candy, pink since it's my favorite color. He'd take me to the Midway and win me prizes, and then we'd just sit on a bench and kiss. Being stuck as a girl would sure be horrible, I giggled. I considered wearing a pair of my really nice designer jeans for the dance, but as usual, that wasn't an option for me. Instead, I chose a sleeveless, mint-colored dress with a lace outer shell over a pretty white liner. The dress, one that I had modeled for a recent fashion show, came to just above my knees, and the white belt did a great job of emphasizing my waist. Combined with sheer stockings and cute ballet flats, I'd look so sweet and desirable. Guys would be spending a lot of time in the bathroom after seeing me. I struggled to keep from pulling on the dress, but it was useless. Despite my best efforts, I slid the dress over my head, tucked it past my hips, and had it zipped in no time flat. I stepped into a pair of white ballet flats, did my hair and makeup, grabbed a cute little clutch bag, and went to meet Kathy. "Did you really have to wear that outfit?" Kathy groaned when she saw how I was dressed. "How am I ever gonna get a boy to look at me, let alone dance with me if you look like that?" I had decided on a pair of my designer jeans, I whimpered. A pullover top and pair of jeans with low-heeled boots to be exact. "This is what I ended up with." "Unreal," Kathy chuckled. "My slacker brother is now a princess." "I'll bet you can't wait till Jimmy sees you, can you?" "No, I can't," I stammered. "Honestly, I don't want to have to go through with this, but I can't help myself." "It could be worse," Mom said as she walked into the room. "With your looks and personality, being a girl is easy for you. You're stuck this way for who knows how long, just relax and enjoy yourself." "Yeah, I've heard that before, remember? It doesn't make things any easier for me. I am enjoying myself and that's what worries me. I didn't want to wear this dress, but once I got it on, I love the way I look in it. I didn't want to go out with Jimmy, but I had a great time and I can't wait to see him tonight. At this rate, I'll never want to be a guy." "Tough cookies, sis." Kathy grinned and pulled me to the garage. "Let's go, there are boys waiting." Crap, just hearing that boys were waiting got me all excited. I sprayed on a little perfume, slid next to Kathy, and it was off to the dance. "I can't wait to see Jimmy again," I found myself giggling. "I hope he likes my dress." "Can I slap her, Mom? Please?" Kathy joked. "She doesn't want to be a girl, hates having to dress and act like a girl. She looks better than me and I've been a girl a whole lot longer than her. Maybe you can wish her back while she's surrounded by boys?" Mom suggested. "Maybe I can wish Kathy was a boy?" I suggested. "How about it? No more having to worry about your outfit and shoes. You'll be able to shower in no time since you won't have to shave your legs or do your hair." "Forget it, sister dear." Kathy shrugged indifferently. "I have no problems with all the stuff girls do that guys don't. I like pretty outfits and even wearing makeup and doing my hair. I just don't feel the need to be the princess that you've become." "Looks like your idea for revenge just went up in smoke," Mom laughed. "What you couldn't seem to understand as Jason was that a woman doesn't have to be all glammed up all the time in order to feel good. We have other options like sexy lingerie or perfume to make us feel all pretty and feminine." "Too bad you couldn't understand women better," Daddy joined the pile on. "If you had, you might not be one today." "I'm doing my best to learn," I promised. I was learning, that's for sure. In a matter of a week I learned that my life was so much better as Karen than it had been as Jason. As Karen, I had friends who cared about me instead of so-called friends who barely acknowledged my existence. I was closer to Mom and Kathy than I'd been as Jason, but that was because as Jason, I thought that girls and women were some sort of inferior species. They seemed more focused on emotions than what I felt was logic, so they couldn't be as smart as me. There were a bunch of reasons for my past behavior and each was dumber than the previous. I couldn't bring myself to say anything, but I was glad to be a girl. I enjoyed the friendship I had with other girls and guys. I liked being able to talk to Mom and Kathy about anything that came to mind. Although emotion was a big thing in my life, I didn't mind at all. If I saw an outfit that really appealed to me, I could say that it was pretty or cute. I could never express myself like that as Jason. Of course, one of the best things to happen because of the change was that I was going to the homecoming dance. I'd never gone to one as Jason because of my stupid ideas about how girls should dress and act. I told myself over and over that they were the ones suffering. If only they'd meet my standards, they could go out with me. Now, as I was not only going to the dance, I was excited about it. I wearing a pretty dress, frilly panties and a bra, sheer pantyhose to make my legs look nice, a pair of shoes that are simply adorable, my nails are polished, my face is made up, and my hair is done, all to look pretty. I'm dressed this way because I like how I feel pretty and feminine. Not because I feel that I have to because of some boy, although if a certain boy compliments me, I won't get upset. Let's get sis. Kathy laughed as we got out of the car. Remember, save a few guys for me, no one likes a hog. I'll tell you what, I teased. How about I set aside every 10th boy for you? It'll break their hearts, but I don't want to be selfish. Here's what we'll do, when the boys line up to dance with me, you walk down the line and pull out every 10th one, okay? If you want them, they're yours. How about I grab Jimmy Toth and spend the whole time dancing with him? Kathy quickly countered. You can have the other boys, I'll settle for Jimmy. But then I'd be heartbroken, I said with the straightest face I could manage. I'll have lost the cutest boy in school and my sister all on the same night. Okay, Kathy smiled. How about you get Jimmy and I get all the others? That's a deal. I laughed. But don't blame me if some of the others wander on over to me, okay? It was great being able to tease Kathy like that. I had missed so much in my life. Jimmy was waiting and rushed to my side as soon as he saw me. Hi Carrie, you look really nice. You're looking pretty good yourself, I told him. The cute guy from the mall, the one who'd taken me to a movie just the night before, the one I was sure couldn't be any cuter was. He was wearing a very sharp-looking burgundy-colored shirt with a dark blue tie, a pair of slacks with a sharp crease in them, and black dress shoes. He had looked great in casual clothes, but he was absolutely scrumptious all dressed up. I stood there staring at him until I just couldn't take it anymore. I leaned over and kissed his cheek. Thanks, but what did I do to deserve that? He stammered. For being such a sweetie yesterday, for being at the parade today, and for looking like such a stud tonight, I said with a smile. I turned to Kathy and giggled. They're all yours. She smiled and nodded her head, she understood. I had the guy I wanted, she could have the rest. Jimmy and I had a great time dancing and talking with the other kids. It was so cool to fit in like that. I never realized how fun it could be since as Jason, I was a complete idiot. Of course Jimmy got the first dance, but I did dance with several other boys and even let Kath dance with Jimmy once or twice. By the end of the evening, I had danced with about 10 or 12 guys and spent time seriously sucking face with Jimmy. I couldn't imagine being happier than I was when the evening ended. How was the dance? Mom asked me and Kath when she picked us up. It was great, Mom, Kath cooed as she went over how much fun she'd had. I even got to dance with Jimmy a couple of times. You're awfully trusting, Carrie, Mom laughed. Letting your sister dance with your boyfriend. What if she tried to steal him away? I'd cut her heart out with a dull knife and feed it to a stray dog. I said calmly. So being a girl seems to agree with you? Mom asked with a silly grin. It's okay, I suppose. Was it okay when you and Jimmy went off to the bleachers tonight? Kath asked, doing her best to act as if she was asking me the time. Mom smiled at me in the rear view mirror. His idea? Of course. How long? About half an hour, I wasn't keeping track of time. Your dad and I spent an hour there when we went to homecoming. I had to put lip moisturizer on 3 times. Twice, I smiled, remembering how great it was to have Jimmy hold me and kiss me. But I used moisturizing lipstick when I got dressed tonight. Is he that good of a kisser? Kath butted in. He's great on the dance floor. He's even better on the bleachers. I couldn't help but giggle remembering how I tingled all over when I first sat down with Jimmy. You're not making sense, Mom argued. It sounds as though you're starting to understand that you were wrong, but Mom, I whined. I told you that I'm enjoying dressing up in sexy underwear, flirting with boys, and especially making out with them. I shouldn't have gone to the show with Jimmy, shouldn't have been dancing with him, and for sure, I shouldn't have been sitting there and sucking face with him. You can't help yourself, Carrie, Kath said as she cradled me and stroked my hair. You're supposed to experience all of the things that you made fun of so that when you go back to being Jason, you'll better understand women and not be such a jerk. All I know for sure is that I have to get back to being Jason as soon as possible, before I end up being fitted for a wedding gown. Mom and Kath thought the idea of me in a wedding dress was hilarious, but it scared the heck out of me and made me determined to hurry back to being Jason. Yeah, I know that everyone thought I'd be stuck, like the bet, for 2 years, but I figured that if I can really cram all kinds of girl stuff, I'd have learned my lesson and would become Jason again. As soon as we got home, I started to put my plan into action. I poured myself a nice, hot bath with the nicest smelling bath oil I owned. I slid into the tub and my mind drifted off to dreaming of being on my honeymoon after marrying Jimmy Toth. I was now Karen Toth, world-famous model, and most importantly, Mrs. Jimmy Toth. Jimmy and I had dated exclusively in high school and he'd proposed to me at our college graduation party. We were married shortly afterwards. I had accepted a modeling job with a very famous company that would have me traveling the world, and Jimmy had a government job that would allow him to travel and be close to me. All of our friends and families had attended our wedding and wished us the best of luck. Daddy was so handsome as he walked me down the aisle, and Mom was doing her best to control the tears that were pouring from her eyes. Daddy gave me a kiss, handed me off to Jimmy, and gallantly took his place next to Mom. Kathy was looking absolutely gorgeous as my maid of honor in a beautiful lavender gown that looked like she'd grown up in it. Everyone knew she was next to Mary. Her boyfriend, the sweetest guy after my honey, had asked her to marry him just months after Jimmy asked me. He had asked me and Jimmy if it was okay to do it then. He was afraid of upstaging us. Naturally, we told him to go ahead. We wanted my wonderful sister to be twice as excited for the wedding. We offered to have a double wedding, but she didn't want to have to rush and said that my wedding day had to be just for me. I stood next to the bed, wearing a pure white, baby doll-style nightgown with lace panties, and a sheer white negligee. Jimmy held me tight, his lips met mine, and he slowly lowered me onto the bed. I must have fallen asleep. I woke up when the water was getting cold and found that I had been masturbating while I slept. That certainly explained the wonderful dream I had of Jimmy and I making passionate love. Suddenly, Jason's thoughts popped into my head. What was I thinking? Marrying another guy? I had to put ridiculous thoughts like that out of my head. Someday, soon I hoped, I was going to be a guy again, and all of this nonsense of being a girl would be nothing but a very bad memory. A bad memory? I found myself thinking as I slowly toweled off and slipped into a pair of sexy pink panties. What was so bad about a gorgeous wedding gown? Hearing the words "I now pronounce you man and wife and allow me to introduce Mr. and Mrs. James Toth," and then having Jimmy give me a kiss that made me want to toss him down and have my way with him. There was certainly nothing wrong with all of our friends and relatives congratulating us at the reception, and Jimmy earned all A's on his love-making report card later. Jason, however, wasn't giving up. I kept having awful thoughts of hanging out at the student union at college and leering at the pretty girls. I had terrible thoughts of asking for dates but being refused. None of the girls were interested in the skinny geek who needed a shave, a haircut, and a lesson in manners. They might even have called campus security on me if they knew what filthy thoughts were going through my mind. No, I wasn't like that at all. Ask anyone about Karen Lawton and they'll tell you all about a sweet, well-mannered girl that always looked her best. Boys might add a few other adjectives, but that's cool. I sort of think it's sweet that they think of me that way. I smiled, slipped into a short nightie that matched my panties, slid into bed, to have happy dreams of being Mrs. Jimmy Toth. Unfortunately, my dreams weren't happy, they were nightmares. I started out dreaming that I was a little boy, sneaking into my big sister Kathy's bedroom. As quietly as I could, I took a pair of panties from her drawer and went to choose one of her old dresses that I hoped would fit me. I stood looking at the dress I chose and turned to go to my room to play dress up again. That's when Kathy screamed, "Mom, my sissy little brother is playing in my stuff again." "Calm down, Kathy," Mom ordered as she came into the room. "He's not hurting anything. It's one of your old dresses that you never wear and you should be flattered that he wants to look just like you." "Flattered that my little brother wants to wear my dresses and panties?" Kathy asked, shaking her head. "He's not my little sister, you know." "Oh, can we play house and I'll be your little sister Kathy? Please?" I begged. "You can dress me up real pretty and brush my hair." "Come on, sweetie," Mom said as she took my hand and led me out of Kathy's room. "I bought you some pretty clothes to play dress up. You can look so pretty and Kathy won't yell at you." Mom took me to her room and showed me all of the new things she'd bought me: pretty dresses, panties, tights, shoes, and even some petticoats that were so pretty that I couldn't wait to wear them. The best presents of all though were dolls and a dollhouse. I hurried up and took off the boys' clothes I was wearing, pulled on a pair of pink, day of the week panties that felt so good, held real still while Mom put one of my petticoats over my head and pulled it down to my knees, and then gathered the skirt of my petticoat like she showed me, sat on the bed to pull on a pair of pretty pink knee socks she'd bought me. When Mom buttoned up the back of my dress and fluffed out my skirt, she let me look in the mirror as she brushed my hair into a girl's style. I got so excited I started to squeal. "Oh mommy, everything looks so pretty and feels so nice. I look just like Karen's little sister while you are her little sister," Mom explained. "You're Cynthia Lynn Garrett." "Oh wow." I heard Karen gasp from the doorway. "Wow, she's right, I really do have a little sister." I rushed over to Karen, wrapped my arms around her and gave her a great big hug. "Play Barbies with me please?" I asked, leading her over to my new dolls. "Just a minute, okay?" she asked as she kissed me on top of my head. "I'll get some stuff." A few minutes later, she came back all dressed up in one of her prettiest dresses, carrying some of her Barbies and other toys. We sat on my bed and had a wonderful time as sisters playing with our favorite dolls. Once or twice, we even tried dressing Ken up in some of Barbie's clothes, but they didn't fit so we had to give up. From then on, Kathy and I were sisters and best friends. We played dress up and dolls, and she even used her toy makeup kit on me a couple of times. As I grew up, Mom and Kathy worked hard to turn me into Cindy Garrett. I learned how to pick out my own pretty outfits when Mom would take me and Kathy shopping, and I learned how to be the sweetest little girl any mom could hope for. It was a great dream, pretending to be Kathy's sister, wearing pretty clothes, and doing all the things that girls do. I woke up with a start thought, feeling very sad. No matter how much fun I was having in the dream, I was a boy and would never be able to marry Jimmy Toth. I rushed into my bathroom to make sure that I was really a girl so I could marry Jimmy someday. "You look like you've seen a ghost," Kathy commented when I got done checking myself out. "It was terrible," I whispered. "I dreamed that I was a little boy who liked pretending to be your sister. Mom dressed me up in the most girly girl outfits and we played Barbies together." "I'll bet that you looked pretty in your dresses," Kathy teased. "You would have made a cute little sister before you actually became my sister." I shook my head. "I doubt it, I had no interest in girly stuff." "Yeah, but who knew you'd become a total girly girl when you grew up?" I don't know why I said it, but I just grinned and said, "And who knew I'd love being a total girly girl?" Kathy decided to get ready for school in my room, so we ended up staring at each other while we fastened our bras and slipped into our uniforms. For some reason, I think it would have been fun to have a little brother who liked being a girl. It would be fun to dress a boy up in frilly panties and petticoats. Kathy smiled. "It wasn't so fun when I found myself in panties," I shot right back. "It scared the crap out of me. Would you go back if you could change right now?" I stopped zipping up my skirt and stared at her for a minute. "Don't say anything," I made her promise. "But I can't imagine ever being a boy again. I'd miss the pretty outfits, the silky underwear, makeup, perfume, and all that other girl stuff." "Any boys?" "Oh yeah, especially boys. I hope you never change back. I'd miss my fantastic sister." I grabbed Kathy and hugged her tightly. "I promise to be the best brother you could ever have," I told her. But who would I talk to about cute guys? Or compare boobies with? I laughed as I buttoned my blouse and tucked it into M's skirt. "Not fair," Kathy groaned. "You've only been a girl for a couple of weeks and you've got bigger boobies than I do. And don't forget a nicer butt too." I stuck out my butt and wiggled it at her. "Unreal, I've got the prettiest, sweetest, best-built brother in the whole world." "Sister," I quickly corrected her. "I'm your sister. Your brother can't marry Jimmy Toth and have his babies. We'll see in 2 years." Kathy refused to back down. "Maybe I'll marry him?" "I should kill you for just saying that," I giggled. "I'm going to file a claim on Jimmy so no other girl can have him." "I don't think that's possible." Then I'll kidnap him and keep him under my bed. I shrugged as I stepped into my saddle shoes and put on a little makeup for the boys at school. They always seemed to appreciate my morning efforts to look good, so I came to figure that I owed it to them. Kathy looked at me and shook her head. I remember when you didn't even take a shower before you went to school. I remember, I admitted as I put my makeup down and sighed. Sometimes it seems like life was so much simpler as Jason. I never had to worry about doing my hair or makeup. It never mattered if my shoes matched my purse and earrings, and I never got cramps like I'm getting today. You're getting your period too? Kathy asked in amazement. Of course I am. Our periods have always been synced, you know that. Oh crap, now I'm comparing periods with my sister. Oh yeah, I forgot. You did mention that the day you became Karen. You don't need to remind me. I snapped. I'm quite aware that I'm now a girl. Oh yeah, and a bitchy one too. Kathy teased. Pop a coupla of my doll sister dear, we have to get to school. Geometry test today. Remember? Maybe mom would let me stay home? I can take the test when I feel better. Not going to happen. Mom called out from her room as she dressed for work. Periods are a major part of being female. Take your sister's advice, pop a few my dolls, and get your pretty butt to school. If you think periods are bad, Kathy teased. Wait until you're giving birth to Jimmy's babies. The sister of my friend Jill spent 10 hours in labor. Kathy caught the slight smile on my face as I thought of being the mom to Jimmy's babies. You should see this mom. She screamed. Carrie's got this huge grin on her pretty little face. She can't wait to be a mom. Lost in my dreams, I inadvertently blurted, they'd be mine and Jimmy's, I'd be his wife. Not if you switch back, Kathy just had to remind me. Boys can't have babies. Did you have to say that? I screamed. I have all of these happy thoughts and you just have to screw them up. I may never be a boy again, and if I'm not, I'm going to be Jimmy Toth's wife and have his babies. You go girl! Kathy shouted as she gave me a high five. I'd be proud to be your twin forever. No offense, but I'm not real sure I'd be happy with that. I grinned. Still, it's nice I have to be a girl. I'm thrilled to be your twin sister. Enough girls, get to school, Mom ordered. Kathy and I checked our uniforms one last time and hurried to catch the bus. Even while I was talking to the other girls at the bus stop, I couldn't seem to keep my mind from wondering about being a girl. I guess I must have ignored a lot of problems I had as a boy, but why did I have to become such an absolute princess? Love wearing pretty outfits, and sexy lingerie really gets my motor running. Walking in CFM heels is second nature to me, and I didn't even want to go down the road about boys. You planning on taking the geometry test? My friend Sue asked. You seem like you're in another galaxy. Having my period, I explained. Hard to concentrate. Tell me about it. Sue then went on to provide details of her periods that although I didn't really want to know about, somehow, I completely understood. Why not? I'm as much a girl as she is. I couldn't believe that I was standing there, in a skirt and blouse, trading stories of periods with a girl I never knew before. We were besties now and the stories just rolled off my tongue, much to Kathy's amusement. Luckily, I'd studied my pretty little buns off for the geometry test and my doll calmed my cramps, so it went pretty well. Of course, as soon as Mom got home from work, Kathy just had to spill everything about how I'd gone on and on about my first run-in with menstrual cramps. Welcome to womanhood, Mom called out as I changed my tampon in the bathroom. Still think it's worth it to have Jimmy's babies? Absolutely, I replied as firmly as I could. I'll be the best wife, and only second to you as far as being a mother is concerned. Not to mention the world's biggest suck-up, Kathy felt obliged to add. Have you told Jimmy about your plans for him yet? I'm a good girl, I laughed, but trust me, once he says I do, I'm going to make him scream. Didn't she used to be a boy? Kathy asked Mom. Yes, as a matter of fact I was once a boy. I shrugged my shoulders. But now that I'm a girl, I intend to make my husband scream in delight. Guys don't scream, Kathy politely reminded me. It's a female thing. It's going to be a Jimmy thing when I get my hands on him, I assured them. Like a good girl, I went off to study and then helped Mom get dinner ready while Kathy set the table. Every time she got near me, she'd give out a little howl to try to upset me. Jimmy's going to be so much louder, I whispered to keep Mom from hearing me. And I'm going to leave scratch marks from his head to his butt. I'm going to be the sexiest, horniest bitch that ever lived. The look on Kathy's face was priceless. I couldn't help but wonder what in the world was wrong with me. Being stuck as a girl was bad enough, but I was enjoying it way too much. Planning to marry as a woman, to have kids, and worst of all, the thought of making love with Jimmy made me wet. I had to stop this nonsense if I was going to survive when I became a guy again. It would be bad enough if I found myself enjoying wearing dresses and lingerie, but I couldn't risk getting myself all prettied up in a sexy outfit with CFM heels and hunting for a guy to make scream. That night, I had two terrible dreams. In one, I was back to being Jason and prowling a singles bar for some fun when I saw this gorgeous girl. She was everything I wanted in a woman, pretty, well-dressed. She had a figure that should have been continued on the next girl, and the object of desire of every guy in the bar. Relishing a challenge and the girl, I set about impressing her and getting her to leave the bar and come home with me. We spent a good deal of time making out in my car before going into my apartment. We had a few drinks, made out some more, and then it was off to my bedroom. I quickly undressed and helped her out of her dress, heel, and lingerie. As I laid her down on my bed, I got the shock of my life. She was as hung as I was. She smiled, took off her wig, and I nearly died when I realized that the girl of my dreams was really Jimmy Toth. I woke up before things went too far, but I was more upset than I could ever remember being. I wanted to be Jimmy's girlfriend, his wife, the mother of his children, not the other way around. When I got to school that day, I was so happy to see my future husband, Jimmy, looking like a normal boy. He was just so handsome, a face that a girl couldn't help but want to kiss in arms that I was sure were meant to hug me. Everything seemed normal until first period when an announcement was made about the upcoming dance. To my horror, the student council had decided to make the dance a little different. It was to be what they called a switch sex dance. In other words, the boys would come dressed and made up as girls and the girls would dress like boys. The boys could either go out on the dance floor separately, or in groups as the girls did, and tempt the girls with their pretty outfits and heels. The girls would check out all of the pretty boys and decide which they wanted to dance with and maybe lure off to a dark corner for some serious face sucking. I was scared out of my mind that Jimmy might decide that he enjoyed wearing a pretty dress, stockings, heels, and lingerie. What if he decided that he wanted to join the LGBT group and become one of the boys who became girls? Maybe, hopefully, he'd think the idea of going to a dance as a girl was silly. Just my luck that after class, I ran into Jimmy and a group of his friends. They were all excited about the dance and planned to ask their moms and sisters to help them get ready. I could only hope that Jimmy wouldn't ask to borrow an outfit from me. Kathy was all excited about the dance when we met for lunch. Too bad you don't have any boys' stuff laying around from your pageants. Sorry, but all of my pageants were for girls, I reminded her. Maybe we could pretend we're boys and wear dresses? We can go to the thrift store and do some shopping? Kathy asked. Wanna go all the way? To where? I instantly regretted asking. You know, a shirt, pants, socks, shoes, underwear, dress up completely like boys. I glanced around, making sure no one could hear me. I did that already, I smiled and shrugged. I prefer pretty outfits and lace underwear. Oh yeah, I forgot about Jason. Well, can we still go shopping? This is going to be a blast. Imagine walking up to a boy in a pretty dress, all made up, and asking them to dance? When a slow dance comes up, we can hold them tight and tell them how pretty they look. Maybe even steal a kiss or two. Kathy had a way of turning the darkest day into a beautiful, sunny day at the beach. I was starting to get turned on by the idea of holding Jimmy in a pretty outfit and telling him he was the prettiest girl in the whole world. Maybe he'd do the same for me at another dance? You know I can't resist shopping. I'll do my homework in study hall so we can hurry to the shops. Mom and Dad thought the switch idea for the dance was funny and had no problems with their daughters becoming boys for the evening. They even excused us from doing the dishes so we could do some serious shopping. There were a couple of other kids we knew in the first shop we hit. One of them, Kenny Price, had just come out of a fitting room wearing an above-the-knee floral-patterned blue dress with short, puff sleeves. I had to look twice to make sure it was actually Kenny and not his twin sister. Kenny looked fantastic in the dress and had even gone so far as to wear stockings with it. "Hi guys," he girlishly waved to me and Kathy. "How do I look?" "Delicious," Kathy told him. "But you'll need to shave your legs, you look like a boy with all of that hair." "Thanks, but I wouldn't dream of going to a dance without shaving my legs," he joked. "I want to look my prettiest." Kathy and I laughed and went about shopping for our things for the dance. "He'll look hot with heels, and a bra," I whispered. "Oh yeah, a little makeup and a different hairstyle, and she'll give us a run for our money." "I don't know about you, dear sister," I huffed, "but there's not a boy in the world who would show me up. I don't care how cute he looks in a dress." We couldn't find anything we cared for in that store, so it was off to another in hopes of finding something there. The shock we'd gotten at seeing Kenny in a cute dress was nothing compared to seeing Tom Layden, the shortest guy at school, modeling a pink, little girl's party dress for his mother. The bodice section was sheer enough to show the straps of the lace-trimmed camisole he wore under the dress, and the sheer, puffy sleeves made him look just adorable. "Twirl for me tomorrow," his mother said, causing him to spin around, exposing the lacy petticoat he wore under the dress. "Vey nice," she complimented him. "Now sit down the way I taught you." Tom smiled at his mom, walked over to a nearby chair, brushed the back of his skirt, and gently eased himself into it. His mom reached into a bag she was carrying and pulled out a pair of pink, lace-trimmed anklets and handed them to him. Without hesitating, he carefully pulled on the socks and flipped over the lace trim at the top. He stood, brushed out his dress, and held his arms out. "You are just so precious, Tamara," his mom gushed as she hugged him. "How does everything fit?" "Just great, Mom." He actually smiled and twirled again. "You better have your ID with you for the dance," I teased. "It's for the high school only. You may have to wait for the elementary school to have a dance." Tom just smiled at us and went back to modeling the dress for his mom. Kathy and I set about finding some boys' slacks and shirts for ourselves, but when we headed back to the dressing room, there was Tom, still smiling and spinning. "I love this one, Mom," we heard him say. "Can we get it, please?" "Certainly, sweetie," his mom grinned. "You look so pretty in it, we just have to get it. We'll have to buy you some nice shoes, those socks are too delicate for you to run around in." Tom rushed over and threw his arms around his mother. "Thank you, Mommy. I promise to be a good girl." I heard Mom say that his mother always wanted a daughter. Kathy whispered as we pretended to shop. "Looks like she's got one." I giggled. It took me and Kathy some time to choose outfits for ourselves. We got caught up in watching guys we knew pick out and model pretty dresses for themselves and battling other girls for slacks and shirts for us. The guys all seemed to be having lots of fun, not a one appeared to be in the least bit embarrassed modeling dresses in public. Kathy and I put on a fashion show for Mom and Daddy when we got home. It brought back awful memories of having been Jason, but pulling slacks over my leanly shaved legs and lace panties did a great job of reminding me that Jason was gone. You should have seen the guys trying on dresses. Kathy and I could hardly stop giggling as we told about how cute Kenny looked and what an absolute doll Tamara made. "I've seen Tammy out with her mom a few times," Mom told us. "She's very pretty and every bit the daughter her mom always wanted. She wears dresses like she grew up in them, which she probably did knowing her mom, and with her cute wig, no one would ever believe that she's really a teenage boy. Some of the girls at school treat him like he's their little sister," Kathy giggled. "He seems to enjoy it. I've seen his mom brushing his hair and doing his nails." Mom added, "He's every bit the girl you two were growing up." I wonder if any of the other boys at school get their kicks by playing dress up? Kathy wondered. "Some of the guys in the LGBT group seem a bit on the girly side, don't you think, Kathy?" I asked. Oh yeah, she giggled as she thought about it. For instance, Greg Harris works at the Gap as Shelly Marie Harris. He's got great taste in outfits and a lot of girls go to Shelly for advice on outfits for special occasions. Holy heck! You mean that Shelly, the girl guys at the mall go nuts over, is really a boy? I just couldn't imagine that the pretty girl I'd seen snuggling up to her dates at the theater was a boy. You can take that to the bank, Kathy broke up laughing. Shelly, the hot babe in miniskirts, tight tops, and heels so high that I'd get a nosebleed if I wore, is as much a boy as the guys she dates. Wait a minute, I insisted. Shelly is Greg's sister, she's in some of my classes and I've seen Greg in the hall at school. Ever see them together? Some days he's Greg, but he seems to prefer being Shelly. Kathy and I spent the rest of the week trying to get used to looking like boys. Mom bought us short wigs from a local store and helped us fix our hair to fit under them so we wouldn't look like boys with pretty, curly hair, special bras to flatten our boobies, and Dad took time to teach us how to dance as boys. By the time the dance rolled around, their sons, Keith and Kevin, were ready for it. I miss my purse already, I grumbled as Daddy drove us to the dance. Where do boys keep all of their stuff? Boys don't have all that much stuff to keep, Daddy explained. We keep our wallets in our back pockets along with small combs, and any change on our hip pockets. We don't brushes and makeup, or perfume. Your loss, I couldn't help but tease him. Never missed that stuff, he shrugged as we pulled up to the dance. Have fun, boys. I guess a goodbye kiss wouldn't be good? Asked Kathy as we prepared to get out. If you run across my daughters, tell them I'd love goodnight kisses later. We'll try to remember, we promised as we got out of the car. But if we meet hot-looking girls, we might forget. Then I'll remind the girls when I see them, have a good time, guys. As soon as we walked in, a couple of other boys rushed over to greet us. One or two could have looked better, but even they didn't look anything like our girlfriends. Looking good there, guys, Darren, formerly Melanie, told us. Got some hot-looking honeys waiting to dance. I call dibs on Jennifer Scott. Mike, formerly Cindy, wasted no time in staking a claim to the pretty strawberry blonde girl in the miniskirt and heels that had been Greg, Cindy's boyfriend. Has anyone seen Tamara? I just had to ask about the pretty little boy girl. I was able to score the first dance with her, Darren bragged. She's an absolute knockout in that little girl outfit. I had a really hard time believing she's a boy. So do she and her mom, I said softly, to avoid the teachers who were chaperones from hearing me. I told them all about seeing Tamara shopping for the dress she wore and how she seemed to be having a great time. She's just the cutest, sweetest thing, Lenny, formerly Marie, exclaimed. I'm going to see if I can get her to stop pretending to be a boy. She'd make a great little sister. I think her mom beat you to it, Kathy added. Our mom's seen her with her mother, she's as much of a girl as we are. Our conversation was interrupted when two pretty girls walked up to our group. Hi, one of them smiled at me. My name's Brittany. I think you're in some of my classes. Brittany looked so pretty in a violet, lace crop top and a matching floral skirt that flared out from her hips. She wore tan stockings with white heels that matched her earrings and bracelets, and I also noticed the musk cologne she wore. Hi Brittany, I smiled and took her hand. My name's Kevin, and yeah, I think we are in some of the same classes. Would you like to dance? Thanks Kevin, I'd love to. I gently escorted her onto the dance floor and held her in my arms. She smiled up at me and laid her head on my shoulder just as I'd done when I danced as Karen. I had a fantastic time. Brittany and I danced a bunch of times, and I also got a chance to dance with Chelsea, Lynn, Patty, and a few other girls. The one dance that I remember most though is the one I had with Tamara. We were having a great time. She rested her head on my chest and occasionally looked up and smiled at me. After a couple of her cute glances, I snuck a kiss. At least I thought I was sneaking one, up until her tongue found its way into my mouth and she sighed deeply once we finished our kiss. I've never kissed a boy before, she giggled as she rested her head on my chest again. We're even, I smiled. I've never kissed a girl before. The song finally ended and we broke off for a fast one. I noticed that a lot of us guys, and a few of the girls, were watching Tamara put her pretty little heart into the dance. She twirled and twisted, smiling and having a great time. What got our attention though was when she did a really fast twirl, the skirt of her dress spun out along with the petticoat, giving a quick view of her white, ruffled panties. She must have noticed because she'd smile and spin as fast as she could. Towards the end of the evening, I asked her to dance a slow song with me and she agreed before I could blink. Halfway through the song, she brought her pretty face up to mine for a kiss. After the kiss, she looked at me and asked if I'd do her a favor. Could I go shopping with you and the other girls? Why would you want to go shopping with a bunch of girls? For the same reason you go, to try on pretty outfits and maybe add a few cute outfits to my closet. You want to dress up like a girl? I wasn't too shocked after seeing him at the store. I do it all of the time at home, she assured me. As soon as I get home from school, I pick something cute from my closet and am Tamara until I have to go back to school. You're really pretty, I had to admit. But aren't you afraid that someone might recognize you? She just laughed. So far, no one seems to care when Mom and I go shopping at the mall, no one does when I go to the beauty shop now and then to get my nails done, and no one cares when Tamara takes ballet lessons with other girls. Wow, are you sure you're really a boy? I asked jokingly. Sometimes, she giggled. But I'd much rather be a girl. Do your parents know? Of course they do. Mom takes me clothes shopping and buys me pretty outfits and I'm Daddy's little princess. I guess that's actually pretty neat, I admitted with a shrug of my shoulders. I'll ask the other girls if it's okay with them, but I'd love to go shopping with you. I got a kiss on the cheek for that. No doubt, Tamara would easily fit in with me and my girlfriends. Thank you, she said in a sweet, little girl voice before rushing off for another fast song. I got together with my friends and told them all about Tamara and how she wanted to shop with us. She's cute, Sue remarked. Yeah, such a little doll, Shelley added. She'd be fun to shop with. We all agreed to bring Tamara into our group, but I had to wait until she was done dancing several slow songs to give her the good news. She had a line of boys/girls waiting to dance with her. It was great to get home from the dance, take off my boy's wig and clothes, and slip into a nice hot bubble bath. When I got done, I pulled on a pair of the prettiest panties I own her, a baby doll nightie with lots of lace, and brushed out my hair. It had been fun to be a boy for the evening, but I couldn't wait to get back to being a girly girl. After church services the next morning, Kathy and I hurried off to the mall for our weekly shopping adventure. When we got to the food court, all of our girlfriends were gathered around the new girl, Tamara. She fit right in, wearing a pair of yellow shorts, a white top with the name of a popular boy band on it, tan sandals, matching purse and earrings. Her toenails and fingernails were even colored in light pink. This is so good, she said as she gave me a hug. I've never been shopping with other girls before. Welcome to the club, Tamara, you're one of us now. Another girl told her. Clothes and cute boys, the two most important things. Great, Tamara grinned. Both have been big dreams of mine. You want to be a girl? One of the girls asked before apologizing. Don't apologize, Tamara laughed. I'm not sure about going all the way and becoming a girl, but I love being one now and then. Shopping with my mom, helping her with the housework, being Daddy's little princess is so nice, and wearing pretty outfits is just great. Hang in there, Kathy joked as she checked out Tamara's outfit. We're gonna make a total girly girl out of you. Too late, Tamara laughed as she sat down and crossed her smooth legs. Mom and Daddy beat you to it a long time ago. They have pictures of me on Halloween as a little girl in dresses like I wore to the dance, and I can't remember when I wore a boy's Halloween costume. I've been a bride, Cinderella, Belle, a cheerleader, and a princess. The only costume I've never worn is for a boy. Why bother? Another girl asked. You'd look silly as a boy. Yeah, I told her. You fit in perfectly as a little girl at the dance last night. If you showed up like that at a regular dance, half of the guys would line up to dance with you and the other half would be in the bathroom. That would be fun, she giggled. There's a dance in Paintersville next Saturday. Are any of you girls brave enough to go with me? You'd go as Tamara? Nicole was the only one of us brave enough to ask. If so, count me in. Me too, chimed in all of the other girls. I can't wait to see you in a cute outfit, driving the poor boys crazy. Then let's get shopping, Tamara said as she got up from her chair. Because I don't have a thing to wear. Spoken like a true girl, I told her. Let's go, girls. Could you do me a favor, please? Tamara asked in that voice that would drive boys crazy. Call me Tammy? We all agreed and quickly made our way to the nearest store for girls our age. We knew they had the cutest outfits and accessories and shopped there all the time. Now it was time to introduce our new girlfriend Tammy to the delights of outfits that would turn her into a boy magnet. Tammy headed straight for the juniors department as soon as we got into the first store. She took one pretty dress after another off the rack and held it against her as she posed in front of a mirror. Pretty, I told her after the 10th dress. But girls don't often wear dresses like that to a casual dance like we're going to. See if you can't pick out something less dressy, maybe a denim skirt and cute top. I could tell that Tammy was disappointed. She wanted to wear a pretty dress and have the boys panting, but the dance just wasn't the place for a fancy dress. Looking at our new girlfriend, it was obvious that she'd have the boys panting even if she wore a pair of grunge jeans and a plain t-shirt. After all, there were boys who just happened to be walking past the dress department, staring at Tammy as if she were a piece of juicy meat and they were hungry dogs. Look at that, Kathy griped. Those boys are checking out Tammy instead of us real girls. Relax, will ya? Nicole told her. Those guys are too young for us. Tammy's pretty and she looks to be about their age. She's got them hooked and doesn't even realize it. Sue laughed. I'll bet that if she smiled at them, they'd run to the bathroom. Tammy went off to try on a few outfits and the boys found a reason to shop in a nearby apartment. When she came out of the dressing room in a cute, tiered denim skirt and a pink t-shirt, the boys started poking each other. That's perfect for the dance, Tammy, Nicole told her as she nodded towards the boys. And your fan club over there approves too. Tammy glanced towards the boys and started blushing. They're not looking at me, are they? Of course they are, Nicole giggled. They think you're cute, why not smile at them so they can tell all of their friends about the pretty girl who came on to them? But I'm not coming on to them, Tammy protested. Actually, I'm scared to death. What if they figure out that I'm not really a girl? Oh please, Kathy interrupted. Take my word for it, no one, absolutely no one, would ever look at you and think you're a boy. Not going to happen, ever. Now be a good girl and make their day. All right, here goes. She turned to the boys and gave them a big smile as she causally bushed her skirt. That is all it took for the boys to pretend they hadn't noticed and rush off. Well, they rushed as best they could while looking back at Tammy. That was fun. She giggled. Kind of exciting that they thought I was cute. You're a girl now. We all whispered as we hugged her. I doubted that anything could get that grin off of her face. Later, at home, I told Mom and Kathy that I didn't think it was right to help Tammy dress like a girl for the dance. Look at what happened to me, I complained. I was a perfectly normal boy and now I'm all girly girl, a beauty queen, and teaching another boy how to be a girl. Get a life, sis, Kathy laughed. You were a loser, no friends, and no life. Somehow, you turn into a hot-looking girl who knows everything there is to know about being a girl and attracting boys. If that bothers you so much, cut your hair, quit using makeup and perfume, no more frilly lingerie, and no more pageants. Cut my beautiful hair? No more makeup or perfume? Back to ugly boxer shorts or briefs? No pageants? Close the lid, shovel on the dirt, it's time to bury me. I threw up my hands in surrender. Okay, you win. You know I can't possibly quit being a girly girl. I can't begin to imagine how I became one, but I love being one and there's no way I'm gonna stop. Then you won't complain about Tammy anymore? Kathy prodded. Never. I promised and held out my little finger to her. Pinky swear? Her mom has a sweet little daughter and her dad has his little princess. Mom insisted. Tammy enjoys being a girl, so this way everyone wins. The next weekend Tammy looked great. Her denim skirt showed off her smoothly shaved legs, which took your gaze to her cute sandals, and pretty toes polished a gorgeous shade of red. Her skirt was a perfect fit, and she seemed to have a cute little bubble but which swung gently as she walked. She wore a baby doll-style top that tied in the front, had cap sleeves, and flowed out from under the bust line that came from her padded bra. Her hair had been curled, and she wore just enough makeup to give her the look of a young girl who was growing up quite nicely. All in all, she looked like the kind of girl that would set the hearts of young boys pounding. "You look so pretty," Sue gushed as she checked out Tammy's outfit. "I just knew you'd wear a skirt." "I guess I could've worn jeans," Tammy giggled. "But I think I look better in a skirt." "So do the boys," Kathy joked. "They haven't stopped checking you out since your dad dropped you off." "Oh." Tammy was obviously thrilled. "I hope they'll want to dance with me." "They'll definitely want to dance with you, and rub their little peckers against you if they get a chance." "Ew, that's what the bathroom's for. I don't want to get any stains on my new skirt." Being new girls at the dance, the guys wasted no time in coming on to us. We barely had a chance to find seats before we were on the dance floor. My partner was a real hunk and I loved it when he held me for a slow dance. I felt so safe in his arms and just had to reward him with a kiss on his cheek. The other girls did just as well, including Tammy, who seemed to attract boys like a magnet. Guys at my school always seemed to get worked up over petite girls. Maybe they felt this manly urge to protect them? Like I was saying though, just like at the switch sex dance, Tammy seemed to be the girl of choice and soon guys were waiting to get a chance with the sweet little honey who got them all hot and bothered. Obviously, not one of the guys suspected that the sweetie in their arms was as much a boy, since it was all Tammy could do to keep their hands above her waist and their heart-ons from rubbing against her. We all took a break in the bathroom, laughing and giggling over Tammy's ability to attract boys. She loved every minute of it, describing how she felt when a boy held her and told her that she was pretty. Whenever a boy asked for her phone number, she politely explained that she wasn't allowed to date yet, and the boys all accepted it. I was a little amazed when she opened the small purse that she carried and took out lip gloss and eyeshadow. I asked if she needed help, but she smiled, said no, and touched up her lips and eyes before putting the makeup away, closing her purse, and following us back to the dance floor. After the dance, Tammy giggled like crazy as we waited for her dad to pick her up. "That was so much fun, I can't wait to do it again. I hope Mom and Daddy decide to let me date soon. I can't wait to have some good-looking boy try to tickle my toes with his tongue as we kiss." We girls just looked at each other and laughed. The dance was the main topic of conversation at school the next Monday. The guys told us how tough it was to get ready as girls and we sympathized, telling them our problems of pinning up our hair and doing without the necessities such as our purses, makeup, and perfume. It didn't take long for the conversation to get around to Tammy. "Tom Cahill was amazing, wasn't he?" Jimmy asked. At first, I wondered what a little girl was doing at the high school dance. One of my buddies told me who she was and I couldn't believe it. "So you just had to sit and talk to her to make sure?" one of my friends asked, pretending to be all innocent. "I talked to most all of the girls." Jimmy started to get defensive. "We were just a couple of girls, comparing outfits and stuff." "Yeah. Just girl stuff." Kathy quickly jumped in. "Like, how can you get that girl out onto the patio where you could suck face?" Jimmy was really getting upset. "Don't be ridiculous." As a matter of fact, she told me that I looked pretty and asked if I was having fun. I thanked her and asked why she was dressed like a little girl. She said that it was her mom's idea but that she didn't mind because the dress was real comfortable and everyone seemed to think that she was pretty. We had to get back to class, so we didn't have time to ask important questions like if Jimmy thought Tammy was pretty enough to kiss or date. I was sort of afraid to find out if the boy I wanted to marry thought another boy was as pretty as me. At lunch, Tom asked if he could sit with us girls. Of course, we welcomed our new girlfriend with open arms. "That's a cute blouse you're wearing," one of the girls complimented him. "Kinda taking a risk wearing blouses to school, aren't ya?" "Yeah," he giggled. "But that makes it lots of fun, except that it buttons on the other side. It's almost impossible to tell that it's a girl's blouse. Girls may notice, but boys don't." "You're right about that." I agreed. Most boys have no fashion sense at all. You could probably wear girls' slacks and they'd never notice. "Well, so far no one's noticed that I'm wearing a camisole under my blouse." He giggled. "And of course they can't tell that I'm wearing panties and girls' socks." None of us could believe that the short, shy boy we all knew as Tom was also the outgoing, petite Tammy. Where did she ever get guts enough to wear girls' clothes to school, and could she see wear a girl's uniform and be Tammy for classes? As time went on, Jimmy and the other boys seemed to forget all about Tammy. Of course, Tommy wasn't about to forget her, and in addition to wearing blouses, camisoles, and panties, he added clear nail polish. He also enjoyed being one of the girls after classes, texting us and shopping like any other teen girl. I had some modeling work to do, so I didn't have much time to keep up with the other girls until it was time to shop for a Halloween costume. "What'll it be this year, sis? Cinderella and Belle again?" Kathy asked as we browsed a costume company's site. "I'm a little tired of that," I complained. "We've been doing them since we were little. It's time to move on." I stopped for a second. I'd never in my life dreamed of being Cinderella, Belle, or any other girl for Halloween, yet I had vivid memories of laughing and having lots of fun with Kathy as we put on pretty costumes and did our hair and makeup. "How about this?" Kathy asked, pointing to Go-Go Girl costumes. Heaven help me, as soon as I saw the costumes, I wanted them. Oh wow, they'd be great. I could barely contain my excitement. "Do you want the hot pants or the mini skirt?" "It's not going to matter," Kathy decided. "They're both tight-fitting and will show off all kinds of leg. We both have great figures and awesome legs, so let's flip a coin." "There's gonna be a long wait to get into the boys' bathroom at the Halloween dance," I smiled wickedly, imaging the boys going nuts over me and Kathy. We ordered the costumes, and as soon as they arrived, we worked with Mom to make sure they fit right. At first, I felt silly standing there in the shortest shorts I'd ever worn, especially because they were bright pink, but I'm a girl and I quickly found myself having a great time. Halloween as Jason was never this much fun. A bunch of boys were standing around, laughing and talking, but the instant Kathy and I walked in, they stopped and stared. "I'm glad we didn't go with Belle and Cinderella," I grinned at Kathy. "We're gonna get all kinds of attention like this." "Don't be too sure," Kathy pointed to a couple surrounded by a group of boys. "I'd say we have some serious competition." I looked at the couple, blinked, rubbed my eyes, and looked again. "No, it can't be." "It can and it is." Kathy laughed. "She's awfully hot, don't ya think?" I was speechless. It turns out that our strongest competition would be a pretty saloon girl and a cowboy. What made them stand out was that the cowboy was our friend Marie and the pretty saloon girl was Tammy. Marie was wearing a Western-style shirt with jeans and cowboy boots, her hair slicked back to make it seem shorter than she normally wore it. Tammy was wearing a very sexy-looking red and black dress that was cut low enough at the top to draw attention to firm breasts, and high enough at the bottom to show a pair of smooth, sexy legs covered by sheer black stockings with black lines running from the feet to under her skirt. The dress had several rows of black lace circling it, and Tammy held a black fan in one of her hands that had red nail polish that matched the color of her dress. Her makeup was perfect. Black chandelier earrings hung from her ears, and she wore a pair of old-fashioned, black boots with what had to be about 4-inch heels. As Kathy and I rushed over to greet our friends and competition, Tammy stood up and gave us a hug. "You're a gorgeous girl," Kathy and I said at the same time. "You're going to drive the boys crazy." Tammy blushed and glanced down in a typical girlish gesture. "You're darn tootin' she's gorgeous," Marie said in a gruff voice. "But if those boys know what's good for them, they'll keep their distance." "She's my woman tonight. Isn't Mike cute?" Tammy asked in a voice that was just perfect for a girl our age. She grabbed hold of Marie's arm and smiled up at him. "He makes me feel so safe." We started peppering her with questions like what made her decide on the costume. Did she have help getting dressed? Who did her makeup? And of course, did she like looking that way? Let's get a table and I'll tell you all about the fun I'm having. She stood up, brushed her skirt, and led us to a nearby table. Mike held out a chair for her. She very delicately gathered her skirt and sat in a very ladylike way. "Could you please get me a drink, sweetie?" She smiled up at Mike, who was off in a flash. "I'm having so much fun," she told us. Marie and I wanted to do something together for Halloween, but we couldn't decide on what. We just happened to be watching a show about the Old West when she came up with this idea. "I take it your parents don't mind people seeing you this way?" one of our friends who happened by asked. "Oh heck no," Tammy put her hand to her mouth and giggled. "Mom's been helping me alter my dress and she took me to have my hair and nails done. Daddy's been so sweet, calling me ma'am, and telling me I was how pretty I looked. It was his idea to go all out with the stockings, shoes, and stuff. He said I needed to feel authentic." She rubbed a hand over one of her legs and her face lit up. "They feel so nice," she sighed. "I've been shaving my legs for the last 2 weeks to make them look pretty. I usually dress up like a girl my age at home, but Mom made me wear a corset and heels so I'd be used to them in my costume." "Isn't she gorgeous?" Mike asked as he returned with Tammy's drink. East leaned close and was rewarded with a kiss. "She's been such a doll, going out with me as my little sister and agreeing to get all done up like this. Going out with Mom and Daddy's fun." Tammy smiled and took Mike's hand. "But it's so different being her little sister. I get to try on cute outfits for younger girls and my parents get a kick out of my being their little girl again." Mike noticed the look on our faces. "It's not like that," he insisted. "We spend a lot of time as Marie and Tom. He's a great guy but sometimes he's also a great girl." "Marie's a real sweetie," Tammy said. She squeezed his hand. "She's the best of both worlds, a great girlfriend and the best big sister I could ever have wanted." "It's nice that you two hit it off so well," another girl told them. "Not many girls would want a boyfriend that's also her girl." "Yeah," Marie laughed. "But since we're the same size, we'll be able to share outfits and who knows, maybe we'll even double date." Kathy, standing next to me, nudged me and twisted her face. Double dating with her boyfriend as a girl didn't sound like fun to either of us. I nodded my head slightly to agree. I would be the only girl when I was allowed to date. The party was all kinds of fun. Kathy and I got all kinds of attention from the boys and were glad to be able to sit down after the 20th dance in a row. Of course, Tammy was also a huge hit, putting his arms around the neck of whichever guy he was dancing with during slow songs, and swishing his dress back and forth during fast songs to show off his petticoat and the garters that held his stockings up. Kathy and I won the costume contest, but Mike and Tammy were a very close second place. When they got their prize, Tammy threw his arms around Mike's neck and gave him a long kiss. I found myself dreaming of being a guy whose girlfriend kissed him that way and wondering if it could ever happen. If, when my punishment was over, I became a boy again, would I be able to interest a girl who'd care for me and not tell me to take a long walk as so many girls had done in the past? I did my best to forget Halloween and get ready for Christmas. There were fashion shows at nearby malls to take part in, and of course, a Christmas pageant that I had been in every year since I was a little girl. All of my girlfriends showed up to encourage me at the pageant, including Tammy with her sister Marie. They seemed to get along every bit as well as Kathy and I did, and for some reason, I was happy to see Tammy looking so pretty and attracting attention from so many boys. Winning pageants was becoming pretty routine for me, even though there were quite a few other girls who were very pretty and talented. The judges just seemed to choose me as the prettiest and most talented girl competing. It made me feel great, but of course, Jason's thoughts just had to pop up. What the heck was I doing all done up like a girl? Why did I enjoy getting my hair and nails done, wearing pretty dresses, gowns, and singing like a girl when I was obviously a boy? Were the judges blind and deaf? Since I already had a walk-in closet filled with pretty outfits, I didn't get any clothes for Christmas. Instead, I got a complete makeup kit from Kathy, some pretty earrings from Mom, and a beautiful necklace from Daddy. I was so touched that tears began to form as I gave each one of them a hug and kiss. Jason tried to interfere and tell me that I was crazy to be so emotional, but I shut him out. I didn't want to hear his senseless babbling when I was the happiest girl on earth. My very, very best present though was a message from Jimmy asking if I'd go to a presentation of the Nutcracker Ballet with him. I rushed to ask Mom and Daddy if it would be okay, willing to do anything to get their approval. Lucky for me, they told me that any boy willing to sit through a ballet with a girl just had to be special. I almost broke a nail texting him that I'd love to go. The ballet was my favorite, and the group putting it on did such a great job that I was practically in tears as we sat watching. Luckily, Jimmy noticed and held my hand to keep me from flooding the theater with my tears. At the end, as soon as we stood to leave, I rewarded my hero with a kiss, bringing a big smile to his face. Jason picked that time to push his thoughts into my head. It was a dumb show and only stupid women and pansies would be interested in it. You should have gone to that sci-fi movie that was just released. A thought quickly came to mind. And you should go to hell. Jason seemed to shut up immediately, leaving me to wonder why I hadn't said that before and making a note to use it any time his thoughts bothered me, which was every single time they came to mind. I was a pretty, happy, teenage girl with a boyfriend who should be nominated for sainthood, and I didn't need Jason's stupid thoughts. I felt so special with Jimmy. He paid attention to everything I said, and it was pretty obvious from the look on his face that he was thrilled to be out with a pretty girl. There were so many times that I just wanted to pull him close and smother him with kisses. I was more than happy to forget about ever being a boy again. I'd give anything to be a girl, Jimmy's girl, forever. It turns out that I wasn't the only one who wanted to be a girl. One Saturday, a few weeks later, I walked into my ballet training class to find a new girl had joined our group. As I got closer, I realized that the cute girl in a white ballet skirt, a pink leotard, and slippers was actually Tom Landon, or I guess I should say Tammy since she didn't look anything like Tom. "What are you doing here?" I shook my head as I took my place next to her. "I thought I mentioned that I was taking ballet lessons." She answered as if it had been a really dumb question. "It was a class for beginners and I finished it last fall. I wanted to learn more, so my parents signed me up for classes here. Aren't you worried that people will know?" She shrugged and finished my sentence for me. "That I'm a boy? Who cares?" Mrs. Carvelli, the instructor, said that as long as I fit in with the other girls, I can take the class as a girl. This was the boy who went shopping with a bunch of girls as a girl, went to a school dance as a little girl, and was a sexy saloon girl for Halloween. I didn't doubt for a second that he'd fit in with the other girls. "Tammy, Karen," Mrs. Carvelli called out to us. "If you girls are ready, I'd like to begin class." Tammy smiled and giggled. "Sorry, Mrs. Carvelli." Our classes were very challenging, but Tammy had no trouble at all doing the exercises and moves that we were being taught. During breaks, Tammy sat with me and the other girls and joined in the conversations without any hesitation. Some of the girls knew her from school but didn't mind her being there. She was just another girl. After class, just like the other girls, Tammy simply took off his ballet dress and put it into the pink gym bag she had, slipped into a denim skirt, took her purse and followed a group of us for fast food or a little shopping. When I got home that afternoon, I told Kathy all about Tammy and ballet class. "She fits in perfectly," I sighed. "If I have to go back to being a boy, I want to be a boy like her." "A real girly boy?" Kathy seemed puzzled. "Dresses, makeup, and all that?" "Everything I had as Karen," I said firmly to let her know I wasn't joking. "Any and every chance I get, I want to be as girly as I can." Kathy hugged me tight and started to cry. "That sounds great. I don't ever want to lose the best sister in the whole world." Things went along nicely for me. Jimmy and I dated more often and eventually became a recognized couple at school. Girls knew he was my guy and left him alone. Boys knew I was Jimmy's girl and left me alone. Suddenly, I woke one morning in a bedroom that I remembered from growing up as Jason. All of my pictures from pageants and fashion shows were gone, replaced by nearly obscene pictures of cheerleaders. I was wearing a t-shirt and briefs instead of the baby doll nightie I had worn to bed. All of my pretty outfits were gone, replaced by grungy-looking jeans and jerseys. Worst of all, the picture I had of Jimmy on my dresser was gone. Just then, Kathy and my parents rushed into my room. The picture of us on my dresser is missing, Kathy sobbed. I want it back. That picture of you two in your communion dresses has changed, Mom said softly. It's Jason's graduation picture again. No. It can't have been 2 years. I don't want to be Jason, I want to be Karen, Kathy's twin, your daughter, and Jimmy Toth's girlfriend. We don't know how Karen came about, Dad said. So you may be stuck as Jason again. Hopefully, being Karen has taught you a lesson and things will be different now. I'll let you borrow any of my clothes anytime, Kathy offered. You can pretend to be Karen. I can't pretend to be Jimmy's girlfriend, I sobbed. What am I going to do without the guy I love? We have to bring her back, Kathy told my parents. We can't leave her like this. She grabbed my parents' hands and told them to repeat what she said. Karen forever. Karen forever. Karen forever. After a few minutes they all started to cheer. It's working, you're getting shorter. I glanced at my dresser and Jimmy's picture was back. I glanced in my closet and all of my pretty outfits were there. Looking at Kathy, I realized that we were now the same height. My t-shirt and briefs changed back into a baby doll nightie and my hair was shoulder length again. Kathy grabbed me and held me tight. My sister's back. Mom and Dad rushed to hug me and we all began crying tears of joy. I was Karen, their daughter and sister forever. I graduated from high school, went on to get a degree in engineering and with my sweetie planned our wedding. Kathy of course was my maid of honor, Daddy looked so handsome in his tux, Mom looked breathtaking in her mother of the bride gown. Jimmy had a couple of his friends as groomsmen and I had a few of my girlfriends as my bridesmaids. One of Jimmy's friends considered himself to be really lucky since the girl that was his partner was a cute little thing that got him all worked up. Yep, that cutie was Tammy who looked stunning in her bridesmaid dress with her hair and makeup professionally done. Jimmy and I had originally asked Tom to be one of the groomsmen and Marie's partner, but both Tom and Marie asked if Tammy could be in the wedding party instead, much to the delight of her partner and all of the guys who danced with her. That was all several years ago. Jimmy and I are now the proud parents of twin girls who are spoiled rotten by their grandparents, my wonderful sister Kathy, and 2 ladies they know as their Aunts Marie and Tammy.